Chapter 869. By Ling, finding a powerful cultivator to help me undo the seal doesn't seem very likely. After thinking about it, Longao continued, By Ling, I want to ask you something. What exactly is breaking through the void? Bai Ling didn't reply. Longao was very depressed. Although Bai Ling was very kind, there was one thing that was not good about her. No matter what he asked, he had to be prepared to not be answered at all times. It was a pain in the ass to the extreme. Just as Longao was about to give up and leave, Bai Ling suddenly said, Young Master Long, you can't break through the void with your current strength. Wasn't this nonsense? If his strength could reach that level, would he still be standing here? Was there a need for him to be sealed? Young Master Long, I can tell you this. In this continent, there are only two people who can break through the void. The God Diviner and the Heavenly Daos. As soon as Bai Ling finished speaking, Longao had already guessed who Bai Ling was talking about. In the entire martial heaven continent, other than the Heavenly Daos and the God Diviner, he couldn't think of anyone else who could break through the void. Longao finally understood what Bai Ling meant by breaking through the void. Breaking through the void was the so-called peak of the martial path. Longao's heart was heavy. No matter what, the peak of the martial path wasn't so easy to reach. Especially when the Heavenly Daos controlled all the core energy of the continent. Just this point alone was something no one could do. He sighed deeply inside. Young Master Long, with your talent and potential, I believe that you will one day be able to break through the void. Longao didn't say anything. He didn't know what to say. It was still the same words. The peak of the martial path wasn't so easy to reach. At the peak of the mountain, a gentle breeze blew. Longao stood there calmly. It was unknown what he was thinking. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. Since the incident with Yang Yu, Longao had been extra careful. Although Bai Ling had already said that she could help him temporarily get rid of Yang Yu's lock, Longao was still a little worried. If Yang Yu were to lock onto him again and launch sneak attacks on him, he would be in big trouble. What's more, Xiling was watching from the side. Who knew when Xiling would appear? Young Master Long, Big Sister is here. Longao was shocked when he heard Bai Ling's reminder. Longao didn't dare to be careless and immediately turned to leave. This time, Longao didn't hide in the dragon seal space. Instead, he used spatial teleportation. After a few teleportations, he disappeared without a trace. As soon as Longao disappeared, Xiling appeared. She looked around but did not find any trace of the other party. Violet Spirit's expression was extremely gloomy. "Mph, I don't believe that you can escape." Longao used spatial teleportation and quickly ran away. In a short while, he had left the mountain peak and was heading towards Fire Beacon City. According to Lu Yun, today was the day to go to Blackwater City. He could take advantage of the Blackwater City's martial artist debate to enter the higher-level Martial Artists Alliance. He could also see Yu Yin sooner. In the Martial Artists Alliance. Vice Hall Master, I just received news that the martial artist debate will be held in advance. When? According to Lu Yun, the martial artist debate in Blackwater City would be held in 10 days. According to his speed, he could arrive in 7 days at most. Because of this, Longao didn't hesitate and immediately bid farewell to Lu Yun and headed towards Blackwater City. Seeing that Longao had already left, Lu Fei suddenly appeared and sneered, "Big brother, I've already arranged everything. As long as Black Wolf dares to enter Blackwater City, the Martial Artists Alliance will definitely deal with him. I believe that the Sword Sect and Wanzhan School won't let him go either." Actually, everyone already knew about the Life and Death Realm. The Wanzhan School and the Sword Sect had already sent experts to deal with Black Wolf. But what was the result? No one from the Sword Sect or the Wanzhan School could come out alive. Whether it was Black Wolf or not, it was believed that the two superpowers would put the blame on Black Wolf. After leaving the Martial Artists Alliance, Longao didn't linger at all, because he knew very well that if he wanted to enter the real Martial Artists Alliance, he had to pass through Blackwater City. Fire Beacon City, Wanzhan School, in the lobby. Dongfang Liang's face was extremely gloomy because he never thought that his son, Dongfang Shuo, would die in the Life and Death Realm. Dongfang Liang couldn't figure out how Black Wolf could escape with 2 Emperor-level formation masters by his son's side. Could it be that Black Wolf's attainments in formation had reached the divine level? No matter what happened, his son was already dead. Dongfang Liang blamed Black Wolf for his son's death, but he knew very well that Black Wolf could leave the life and death realm alive because of luck. As for the 2 Emperor-level formation masters, Dongfang Liang knew that it wasn't Black Wolf's doing at all. It was all because of the path of death in the life and death realm. In the end, Black Wolf was too lucky. There was one more thing that Dongfang Liang couldn't figure out. Why did everyone enter the path of death except for Black Wolf? Clenching his fists tightly, Dongfang Liang's voice was extremely cold. He said, "Black Wolf, don't think that you can escape death by entering Blackwater City. No matter where you go, I will tear you into pieces. Guards. Master. Immediately send the news that Black Wolf killed 2 Emperor-level formation masters to Wanjan School in Blackwater City." "Yes, Master." Looking at the empty hall, Dongfang Liang's sneer gradually sounded. Another place in Fire Beacon City was the Sword Sect, one of the 3 superpowers. This time in the life and death realm, not only Wanjan School, but also 2 masters of the Sword Sect died in the life and death realm. Although Murong Guenar knew very well that this matter had nothing to do with Black Wolf, the Sword Sect in Blackwater City, or a higher-level Sword Sect, would definitely not let Black Wolf go. They would definitely think that the death of the 2 Holy Emperor warriors must have something to do with Black Wolf. "Dad, you have to find a way to help Black Wolf." Hearing his daughter pleading for Black Wolf again and again, Murong Guenar was very surprised. Because all this time, his baby daughter had never cared about any man except him. As a super talent of the Sword Sect, he didn't spread the news of his daughter's talent. After all, to be able to successfully break through to the Holy Master level at such a young age, let alone in the Sword Sect, even in Blackwater City, she was absolutely unique. Because of this, Murong Guenar usually loved his daughter very much. "Yang tell me, what is the relationship between you and Black Wolf?" Chapter 870. We don't have any relationship. Thinking about it, Murong Yang said again, "No, if you say that I have a relationship with Black Wolf, then we are very close friends." Close friends? Murong Guenar was shocked, because he had never thought that Yang would treat Black Wolf as a friend. "Yang, why are you doing this?" "Father, whether you believe it or not, I hope that you won't make things difficult for Black Wolf. I can say that before long, Black Wolf will rise up and shock the world." Hearing his daughter's words, Murong Guenar was even more shocked. Seeing that her father was not speaking, Yang said, "Father, have you heard of Longao?" If it was before, Murong Guenar definitely would not have heard of Longao. But now, Longao could be considered a somewhat famous person in the Sky Martial continent. As the Sword Sect Master of Fire Beacon City, how could Murong Guenar not know of Longao? Murong Guenar was not an idiot. If his daughter said this, could it be? "Yang, what do you mean?" Seeing his daughter nod her head, Murong Guenar directly stood up from his seat. "Yang, since Black Wolf is the legendary Longao, then you can't be friends with him." "Yang, do you know what Longao means?" Nodding her head, how could Murong Yang not know about Longao's past? But Murong Yang had already determined that Longao was her friend. It was in the past, it was now, and it would always be in the future. No matter when, no matter what happened, this would never change. "Father, I've already said this. In all these years, when have I ever lied to you?" Looking at his daughter's determined face, Murong Guenar did not say anything. Just as Yang had said, in all these years, she had never lied to him, not even once. The Sword Sect, Martial Artists Alliance, and Wanjan School were all secretly ready to make a move. They only had one goal, and that was Black Wolf, the so-called Longao. After leaving Fire Beacon City, Longao rushed to Blackwater City. Longao had already decided that no matter what happened, he would use Blackwater City's Martial Artists Alliance to continue climbing up the ranks, and strive to enter the top Martial Artists Alliance as quickly as possible. According to the information he had received, Longao knew that in the Martial Artists Alliance, there were too many people who wanted to pursue Yu Yin, including Shapotian from the Wanshou sect. Because of this, Longao became more anxious. On the second day after leaving Fire Beacon City, while Longao was rushing to Blackwater City, countless lights suddenly shot out from all directions. Longao was not surprised at all, because he had already felt that something was wrong. Who is it? Come out. In terms of formations, Longao's attainments were already very high. If he continued to level up, he could become a powerful martial emperor level formation master. Amazing. Applause sounded. Dongfang Liang walked out with many powerful warriors from Wanzhan School. Invisibly, they had already surrounded Longao. Looking around coldly, Longao did not take these people seriously. With these days of recuperation, Longao's injuries had mostly recovered. It was almost impossible for the Void Warriors to cause any harm to him. Among the people present, even Dongfang Liang, who was the most powerful, was only at the Universe Emperor level. My son is dead, and I'm here. Shaking his head helplessly, Longao suddenly said with a smile, I don't know if there is something wrong with Dongfang Shuo's brain. He actually chose the path of death. Dongfang Liang, I'm not afraid to tell you that when I was in the life and death world, I didn't choose the path of death. I just lured the tiger away from the mountain. Longao did not want to reveal the supreme divine inheritance, so he had to tell a lie. Longao could assert that Dongfang Liang would not have the slightest doubt about what he said just now. This time, in the life and death world, the Sword Sect, the Martial Artists Alliance, and the Wanzhan School, those who chose to enter the path of death were all dead. If he had also entered the path of death, in the eyes of others, he would undoubtedly die. But he had walked out alive, so what did it mean? Either he had chosen the path of life, or he had already obtained the supreme divine inheritance in the path of death. Sure enough, Black Wolf, you are ruthless. You dare to trick my son, but don't worry, you will soon go down to accompany him. Is that so? Looking at the indifferent Black Wolf, it seemed that he did not take him seriously. The more Black Wolf acted like this, the more uncertain Dongfang Liang was. In any case, Black Wolf had broken the Million Swords formation, and in the Wanzhan School in Fire Beacon City, there seemed to be no one, including him, who could not break the Million Swords formation. Dongfang Liang, with your strength, you are no match for me at all. I am not in a good mood today, so I will spare your life. Get out of here. Ha ha ha. Hearing Black Wolf's words, Dongfang Liang laughed wildly. His laughter was full of contempt, as if he had heard the funniest thing in the world. Black Wolf, don't think that you are invincible just because you broke the Million Swords formation. Waving his hand, more than a dozen people around slowly approached Longao. Dongfang Liang's meaning was very clear. He wanted to use the power of more than a dozen people and his own strength to deal with Black Wolf and kill him to avenge his son. Dongfang Liang was not a fool. Of course, he knew that Black Wolf could break the Million Swords formation, so his attainments in the formation must be very high. Even he might not be his opponent. Clearly knowing that it was impossible to do, but still doing it was a sign of brain damage. As for Dongfang Liang's meaning, how could Longao not know it? He wanted to end the battle quickly. He did not have too much time to waste here. After all, the warrior demonstration of Blackwater City was about to begin. If he missed this opportunity, it seemed to be more difficult to enter Blackwater City. He snorted coldly. At this time, Longao's body suddenly moved. It was like a meteor streaking across the sky. Before everyone around could figure out what was going on, everyone around had already fallen down. Everyone did not even have a chance to scream. Looking at the corpses all over the ground, Dongfang Liang was really shocked. He stared at Black Wolf in front of him, because he had never thought that Black Wolf's strength would be so strong. Because even he seemed to be unable to do this. Black Wolf, it turns out that you have been hiding your strength. Yes, so what? Seeing that Black Wolf did not continue to hide his strength, Dongfang Liang's face became gloomier because he could not see through Black Wolf's strength at all. However, Dongfang Liang seemed to have a bad feeling in his heart. Was Black Wolf's strength above his? If so, then he was really in trouble. At this moment, Dongfang Liang already had the intention to retreat. He did not want to stay at all. As the saying goes, Where there is life, there is hope. Revenge is a dish best served cold. Chapter 871. You want to run away? With regards to the million-corpse demon army that he possessed, Longao was really having a headache. Because in the battle at the Heavenly Sect, because he forcibly took the god-killing sword, the million-strong corpse slave army was destroyed. It would be a lie to say that he was not distressed. Without the help of the million-strong corpse slave army, no matter what he did, he had to be cautious. Because of this, Longao had decided that after solving the problem in Blackwater City, he would enter the spirit beast forest to hunt spirit beasts and refine the million-strong corpse slave army. Longao was very clear that he was about to enter the top martial artists alliance. His strength alone was far from enough. Black Wolf, I will not let go of the grudge between us. You will regret it. Just as Dongfang Liang was about to turn around and leave, Longao's figure had disappeared. In the next second, Longao appeared in front of Dongfang Liang. Black Wolf, it's you. With a sneer, Longao said, Dongfang Liang, I'm sorry. My name is not Black Wolf. My real name is Longao. Longao? At first, Dongfang Liang did not realize it. In an instant, Dongfang Liang's eyes widened. He said with disbelief, so you are Longao. It's too late for you to know. Since Longao had told him the truth, he had decided that no matter what happened this time, he would not let Dongfang Liang go. Longao did not show any mercy. In order to end the battle quickly, he directly released a powerful sword momentum. The terrifying sword momentum pressed down on Dongfang Liang from all directions. It directly suppressed Dongfang Liang and made him unable to move. Longao, even if you kill me, you will die without a burial place. You will regret it. You will regret it. Ignoring Dongfang Liang's pig-like roar, Longao's god-killing sword had been quickly slashed out. Countless sword chi did not give Dongfang Liang the slightest chance. Because this time, Longao was ready to kill him. The reason was very simple. Whether Dongfang Shuo was killed by him or not, Dongfang Liang would believe that it was him who did it. In this case, why should he dawdle and make trouble for himself in the future? Dongfang Liang was only a world emperor, while Longao was a saint emperor. Although he could not use all his strength, Dongfang Liang was still not a match for Longao. There was no doubt about that. In the blink of an eye, Dongfang Liang had been submerged by countless sword chi around him. Dongfang Liang had died before he even had time to scream. There were 3 forces in Fire Beacon City. Not to mention the Martial Artists Alliance, just the Sword Sect and Wanzhan School seemed to want to kill him. Now that Wanzhan School had temporarily lost its threat, what about the Sword Sect? If the Sword Sect did not have Murong Yanga, Longao would not be troubled. But he regarded Murong Yanga as a real friend. Because of this, things were a bit more troublesome. The Sword Sect, Murong Yanga. It was a very depressing thing. Being able to kill Dongfang Liang this time could be regarded as solving a big problem. But Longao was still very clear in his heart that the Sword Sect and Wanzhan School would not give up. If so, even if he entered Blackwater City, he was afraid that he would be in constant trouble. Counter soldiers with arms, water with an earth weir. There was no other way. Longao knew that as long as it was not a last resort, he would not provoke the Sword Sect. Even if it was for Murong Yanga, it was also for his own friends. The news that Longao killed Dongfang Liang and others was not leaked out. Anyway, no one saw the battle between the two sides. In this way, unknowingly, the masters of Wanzhan School in Fire Beacon City had all fallen. Young Master Long, you have been targeted by my sister. You'd better leave quickly. Longao, who was hurrying with all his strength, suddenly heard Bai Ling's words and was startled. He really could not figure out why Xiling could always target him. It was like a vengeful spirit, haunting him. How on earth did Xiling do it? For some reason, Longao felt that there was something wrong with this matter. But at this time, he could only deal with Xiling first. Before Longao left, Xiling's figure had already appeared. He looked coldly at the teenager in front of him. Xiling said, "Boy, I have to admire your courage. You dare to play with me. After so many years, You are the first one. Thank you for the compliment. Things had already come to this point. Longao did not immediately run away. Ha ha ha, what an arrogant boy. Xiling was not angry. Instead, he laughed and looked coldly at him. For a while, both sides did not speak. At this time, Longao took out the god-killing sword and Bai Ling's figure appeared. Sister, young Master Long is a good person. He didn't do it on purpose. Please let him go. Looking at Bai Ling, who was so close to him, Longao sighed deeply. Bai Ling was simply too kind. Until now, Bai Ling not only did not think for him, but also did not hate him. Instead, she begged for mercy for him. Such a person was simply one of a kind. Xiling snorted coldly and almost went berserk. But he knew his silly sister's character very well. Bai Ling, do you know what he did to you? Bai Ling nodded and said gently, Sister, young Master Long was just careless. Please give him a chance. Will he pay? Before Bai Ling could speak, Longao had already waved his hand and stopped Bai Ling. Bai Ling seemed to be very curious, but Longao continued, Xiling, I believe you know the reason why I sealed Bai Ling. An honest man does not do underhanded things. Xiling seemed to be a little surprised because he did not expect Longao to admit it so openly. However, he laughed coldly. From the beginning to the end, Xiling did not take Longao seriously. This was a display of strong confidence. But Xiling, I can tell you clearly that I regret it now. But I have no choice because I cannot let Bai Ling go. Longao was telling the truth, but in Xiling's ears, it was not the case at all. Xiling's face was full of disdain and contempt. He sneered and said, Boy, you don't have to put on an act here. You want my sister to be the Jianling of your sword. Dream on. Longao was speechless towards Xiling. It was hard for him to imagine that such an unreasonable person like Xiling would be Bai Ling's sister. The two's personalities were like heaven and earth. If he did not see it with his own eyes, he would not believe that there were sisters with such different personalities in this world. Longao was too lazy to talk nonsense. He smiled and said, I don't care if you believe it or not. Anyway, I have a clear conscience. I will say it again, I regret it now. Don't worry, as long as I have the chance, I will let Bai Ling go. But from now on, you are not allowed to follow me. Otherwise, you will bear the consequences. When Longao was talking, Bai Ling did not interrupt. Chapter 872. Are you threatening me? Longao didn't even want to waste any more words, so he turned around and prepared to leave. But things had already come to this point. Could Longao leave? Xiling instantly blocked Longao's path and asked, You want to leave just like that? What do you want? Just as Xiling was about to attack, Bai Ling stood in front of Longao and said, Sister, please let him go. Xiling's expression was extremely gloomy when she saw Bai Ling standing in front of her. Her expression was as ugly as it could get. Bai Ling, get out of the way. Sister. Looking at Bai Ling, Xiling sighed deeply and said unhappily, You're lucky this time, but don't ever let me see you again. Xiling was about to leave with Bai Ling, but the result made Xiling extremely angry. She never thought that no matter what she did, she wouldn't be able to take Bai Ling away. What did this mean? Kid, you're courting death. Xiling had already reached the point where he could not bear it any longer. At the same time he rushed out like an arrow. A terrifying aura had already enveloped Longao, but the scene that happened next was simply shocking to the extreme. Just like that, Longao and Bai Ling disappeared into thin air, disappearing right under her nose. What the hell happened? How did they do it? With regards to Longao's strength, Xiling naturally knew it very well. It was precisely because of this that she was even more unable to figure out just how the other party had done it. In the dragon seal space, Longao let out a long sigh of relief. He took a deep breath of Xiling's strength. She was too strong. Although Xiling wasn't as strong as Qian Dao, Xiling could easily kill the elder ancestor. Fortunately, he could enter the dragon seal space. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to get rid of Xiling even if he used spatial teleportation. Master, Xiling has locked onto your aura. No matter where you go, she will follow you. I think you should deal with her first. Otherwise, no matter where you go, there will be endless trouble. Longao nodded. How could he not know what Long Fu was talking about? But Xiling's strength was there. He had no way to get rid of Xiling. Could Long Fu have a way? Thinking of this, Longao couldn't wait and asked, Long Fu, do you have a way? Longao knew that he was going to enter Blackwater City and enter the Martial Artists Alliance to find you. If. Long Fu shook his head with a helpless look on his face. Seeing Long Fu's expression, Longao's heart thumped. If Long Fu couldn't do anything, would he really have to be locked onto by Xiling for the rest of his life? It was really a pain in the ass. Master, you can only rely on the power of the blood pool to forcefully get rid of Xiling's lock on you. However, the price to pay is too great. If the blood pool backfires, the consequences will be unimaginable. Blood pool? Use the power of the blood pool? Of course, Longao knew what it meant to use the power of the blood pool. Just as Long Fu said, he had already been backfired by the blood pool twice. Both times, he was forcefully suppressed by the dragon seal. If there was a third time, would the dragon seal still be able to forcefully seal the blood pool? At that time, not only him, even the dragon seal and Long Fu wouldn't be able to continue sealing the blood pool. Because of this, Longao knew very well that unless it was absolutely necessary, he absolutely couldn't use the power of the blood pool. Long Fu, I believe you know the power of the blood pool. Therefore, I won't use the blood pool. Apart from this method, do you have any other way to break Xiling's lock on me? Master, I do have a way to give you a chance to break Xiling's lock on you. However, it's very dangerous and there's a high chance that you'll die. I don't know, Master. Do it immediately. Longao didn't even think about it. He didn't wait for Long Fu to finish speaking and immediately agreed. This was because Longao had already thought about it. If his aura was locked onto by Xiling, he wouldn't be able to do anything. Not only him, but even his family would be in danger. Longao had already discovered that Xiling was definitely not a kind person. Once he grasped the opportunity, he would definitely not let him and his family off. Because of this, whether it was for himself or his family, Longao knew that no matter what happened, he had to break the lock on him as soon as possible and get rid of Xiling. Long Fu, what's the plan? Next. Longao repeatedly confirmed that Xiling had left before quietly leaving the dragon seal space. According to Long Fu, Longao changed his route and headed towards the northwest instead of Blackwater City. About an hour later, Longao had successfully arrived outside a valley. Looking at the huge black valley in front of him, Longao still didn't know what Long Fu wanted him to do. How could he get rid of Xiling like this? According to Long Fu, he had to enter the valley. Only then would he have a chance to break Xiling's seal on him. There was no other way. Since Long Fu had said so, then even if there was a mountain of blades and a sea of flames in front of him, he had to give it a try. But at this time, Bai Ling, who had been silent all this time, suddenly said, "Young Master Long, there's a very powerful existence in the valley. At the very least, with your strength, you're no match for it." Longao, who was about to enter the valley, heard Bai Ling's words and his heart thumped. Bai Ling, what kind of existence is in the valley? Nine-headed Emperor Dragon. Nine-headed Emperor Dragon. Hearing Bai Ling's words, it would be a lie to say that it wasn't shocked. Because Longao knew very well what the nine-headed Emperor Dragon that Bai Ling mentioned meant. Nine-headed Emperor Dragon, even in the Dragon Clan, was definitely a super powerful existence. Legend had it that the 9 heads of the 9-headed Emperor Dragon each represented a life. In other words, the 9-headed Emperor Dragon had 9 lives. Longao couldn't figure out that there was a 9-headed Emperor Dragon in the valley. If that was the case, why would Long Fu want him to enter the valley to die? Longao was almost certain that Long Fu was 100% sure that there was a 9-headed Emperor Dragon in the valley. Could it be that Long Fu wanted to harm him? Impossible. Longao trusted Long Fu very much. After all, if it weren't for Long Fu's constant help, he would have died many times over. In that case, what was Long Fu selling in his gourd? Before Longao could ask, Long Fu's voice sounded. "Master, there is indeed a 9-headed Emperor Dragon in the valley, but that's why you can use the nine-headed Emperor Dragon's aura to temporarily conceal your aura. This way, you have a chance to break Xilin's seal on you. Chapter 873. So that's how it is. Longao had already guessed that Long Fu would not harm him. Long Fu, what is the strength of the nine-headed Emperor Dragon in the valley? Regarding this point, Longao was most concerned about it. This was because divine beasts, great Emperor Spirit beasts, or even illusionary divine spirit beasts, were two completely different concepts. However, Longao could guess that the nine-headed Emperor Dragon in the valley was able to prevent Xiling from locking onto its aura. It seemed that the nine-headed Emperor Dragon's strength was not simple. Divine beast. He sighed deeply. It seemed that his guess was correct. The nine-headed Emperor Dragon in the valley was indeed a divine beast. Longao's expression became more and more serious. It would be a lie to say that he was not worried. No matter what, the nine-headed Emperor Dragon in the valley was still a divine beast. There was no other way. In order to remove Xiling's lock on him, he had to enter the valley no matter what happened. Without continuing to think, Longao finally took a step forward and stepped into the valley. In the blink of an eye, his entire figure disappeared without a trace. Black fog lingered in the valley. It was pitch black and he could not even see his own fingers. Longao did not dare to be careless. He focused 120% and carefully walked forward. Longao did not know how many steps he had taken. Gradually, a ray of light appeared in front of him. Longao was overjoyed. He quickened his pace. As he sped up, the light in front of him became brighter and brighter. In a short while, Longao had left the black fog and entered a forest. He took a deep breath. Although he had not seen the so-called nine-headed Emperor Dragon, Longao could clearly sense that a terrifying dragon's aura instantly surrounded him. Longao had a premonition that as long as he moved in the slightest, he would be obliterated by this dragon's aura. Longao had no doubts about the nine-headed Emperor Dragon's strength. Divine Dao martial artists were divided into 5 major realms. From low to high, they were Nihility God Realm, Divine Focus Realm, Man God Realm, Earth God Realm, and Divine God Realm. Divine beasts were also divided into 5 levels. From low to high, they were Level 1 Divine Beast, Level 2 Divine Beast, Level 3 Divine Beast, Level 4 Divine Beast, and Level 5 Divine Beast. Without a doubt, the nine-headed Emperor Dragon in the valley should be a 5th-level Divine Beast. Young Master Long, you should retreat. The nine-headed Emperor Dragon has already locked onto your position. The moment you take another step into the valley, you will be attacked. As for what Bai Ling said, how could Longao not know? But to return empty-handed just like that. Unwilling, Longao's heart was very unwilling. Just now, Long Fu had said that there was only one way to remove Xiling's lock on him, and that was to enter the valley and borrow the nine-headed Emperor Dragon's power to remove Xiling's lock on him. Since things had already reached this point, Longao knew that he had no other choice. Continuing to take a step forward, in the end, Longao still chose to continue. But Longao was not a reckless person. Of course, he would not sacrifice himself in vain. In this way, Longao's figure suddenly disappeared. With the help of spatial teleportation, he had left his original position in an instant. Longao had already thought about it. Even if his strength was not as good as the nine-headed Emperor Dragon's, and even if his body had been locked onto by the nine-headed Emperor Dragon, he did not believe that the nine-headed Emperor Dragon could lock onto spatial teleportation. Sure enough, Longao's guess was absolutely correct, and it had to be admitted that Longao was indeed taking a gamble this time. Once he lost the gamble, there was no need to even talk about unlocking the Purple Spirit's lock on him. It was believed that even his life would be lost here. But in the end, Longao still won the bet. Just now, when he entered the valley from the outside, he would definitely be locked onto by the nine-headed Emperor Dragon. If he entered normally, he would definitely be obliterated by the nine-headed Emperor Dragon. Longao could instantly disappear and avoid being locked on. It would be strange if the nine-headed Emperor Dragon wasn't shocked. As soon as Longao's figure appeared, he could feel a wave of dragon breath madly sweeping towards him. He was shocked and did not dare to be careless. He immediately used spatial teleportation again and disappeared without a trace. This time, Longao directly teleported into the dragon seal space. Long Fu, what should I do now? After successfully entering the valley and sensing the nine-headed emperor dragon's aura, Longao was a little impatient. Because from the beginning to the end, he was very afraid of Xiling. If this continued, he really couldn't imagine whether he would go crazy. Long Fu, of course, was aware of his master's impatience. Master, immediately find the nine-headed emperor dragon. If there are no accidents, Xiling will appear in at most half an hour. Listening to Long Fu's plan, Longao kept nodding. Just as Long Fu said, although this method was full of danger, once successful, he could indeed successfully get rid of Xiling. Just as Longao left the dragon seal space, he heard Bai Ling's voice. Young Master Long, I want to ask you for a favor, is that okay? Of course, but it's not a request. If you have something to ask, as long as I can do it, I will definitely not refuse. For such a kind person, Longao simply couldn't refuse. Young Master Long, actually, my sister isn't a bad person. For so many years, if it wasn't for my sister's care, I wouldn't have lived until now. So, I want to ask young Master Long not to hurt my sister, is that okay? F***ck hearing Bai Ling's words, Longao fiercely cursed in his heart. Could he hurt Xiling? What a joke. Longao had always been self-aware of his own strength. As for Xiling's strength, he was even more clear. Compared to Xiling, one was the sky and the other was the earth. Bai Ling, you think too highly of me. The problem now is that your sister isn't willing to let me go. It's not that I'm chasing after your sister. Don't worry, if I can hurt your sister won't dare to keep chasing after me. Too kind. Longao couldn't imagine what Bai Ling's brain was made of. In such a situation, not only did she not think of herself first, she was always thinking of others. The more Bai Ling was like this, the more he felt. This feeling was indescribable and inexplicable. Young Master Long, with your talent, I believe that in the future, you will definitely rise to the heavens. If that day really comes, I hope that no matter what happens, you won't hurt my sister. I hope that you can promise me this. Looking at Bai Ling, who had already appeared, Longao sighed deeply. Things had already come to this point, how could he choose not to agree? Bai Ling, I promise you that no matter what happens in the future, I won't hurt your sister. After heaving a sigh of relief, Bai Ling suddenly said at this time, Young Master Long, the god-slaying sword in your hand has been sealed. Before the seal is broken, it's almost no different from an ordinary sword. Am I right? Chapter 874. Nodding, Longao replied, that's right. Longao was very curious. He didn't know what Bai Ling meant by that. Toward Bai Ling, Longao could still be considered to have some understanding. Young Master Long, if your god-slaying sword can devour this nine-headed royal dragon, then its power can instantly increase by more than 10 times. Without waiting for Longao to speak, Bai Ling continued, Young Master Long, this is very dangerous. Think about it yourself. Longao certainly wouldn't easily choose to give up any opportunity. Regarding what Bai Ling said, Longao naturally knew what it meant. The god-slaying sword had been forcibly sealed. In fact, it was not much different from an ordinary sword. If it could devour the nine-headed royal dragon and increase its power by more than 10 times, it would also be a very good thing. It was still the same saying, nothing ventured, nothing gained. Bai Ling, what should I do? Longao knew very well that without outside help, it was almost impossible for the god-slaying sword to devour the nine-headed royal dragon. Young Master Long next, Bai Ling quietly told Longao how to deal with the nine-headed royal dragon. After listening, Longao kept nodding. Again, Bai Ling's method was very dangerous, but without danger, where would the opportunity come from? If he could successfully devour the nine-headed royal dragon, then in the future, with the help of the god-slaying sword, it would not be difficult for him to kill a sacred venerable. Since he had already chosen to do so, Longao did not continue to hesitate. He shot toward the nine-headed royal dragon with all his strength. In the blink of an eye, he had disappeared without a trace. Somewhere in the valley forest. A huge golden dragon was circling around, looking around. The most shocking thing was that this dragon had 9 huge heads. It looked extremely shocking. Just now, the 9-headed royal dragon had locked onto Longao's position. It thought that he was just a small human martial artist and did not pay attention to him at all. In other words, as long as the other party did not enter the forest, it would not kill him. But even so, the 9-headed royal dragon never expected that the human martial artist it had locked onto would just disappear into thin air right under its nose. Was this true? The 9-headed royal dragon was very depressed, but also very shocked. Because until now, it still did not know how the other party did it. A small Saint Emperor martial artist could actually disappear into thin air in front of it was simply inconceivable. In the distance. Looking at the 9-headed emperor dragon in the distance, Longao took a deep breath. After all, what he was going to do was related to life and death. If he was slightly negligent, he would die without a burial place. Master. Hearing Long Fu's call, Longao's body disappeared. Inside the space. Long Fu, what's the matter? He was already prepared to take action. He did not know why Long Fu had called him into the space in such a hurry. At this moment, Long Fu said, Master, do you really want to use the God-punishing sword to devour the 9-headed royal dragon? That's right. Now that things had come to this point, Longao had decided that no matter what happened, even if it meant life and death, he would do it. Master, I have heard everything Bai Ling said just now. Longao did not speak. He just listened quietly. From the beginning to the end, he did not know what Long Fu meant. Master, I let you enter the valley this time because I want the God-punishing sword to devour the 9-headed royal dragon. Since Bai Ling has already said this, then I will not hide it anymore. The 9-headed royal dragon you saw just now is not an ordinary dragon. Not an ordinary dragon? What did that mean? Longao did not understand Long Fu's meaning. However, he was not surprised that Long Fu already knew about this. After all, it was impossible for Long Fu not to know what Bai Ling knew. Long Fu, what should I do? Master, listen to me first. This 9-headed royal dragon is the emperor of the 9-headed royal dragon clan. If the God-punishing sword can devour the 9-headed royal dragon, then not only will the power of the God-punishing sword skyrocket, even you can obtain a superb martial skill. His heart thumped. Longao was not a fool. He knew very well that since Long Fu valued this martial skill so much, then he believed that this martial skill must not be ordinary. Long Fu, do you mean that as long as the God-punishing sword devours the 9-headed royal dragon, then I can reproduce a martial skill from it? Nodding his head, Long Fu said expectantly, that's right. Without waiting for Longao to speak, Long Fu continued, Master, this martial skill is called the Royal Dragon 9 Kills. After listening to Long Fu's explanation of this martial skill, Longao was also looking forward to it. He couldn't wait to immediately start practicing the so-called Royal Dragon 9 Kills. The Royal Dragon 9 Kills was terrifyingly powerful. There were a total of 9 moves. They were the Royal Dragon's Fury, Royal Dragon's Burial, Royal Dragon's Strangulation, Royal Dragon's Tyranny, Royal Dragon's Collapse, Royal Dragon's Death, Royal Dragon's Heart Devour, and Royal Dragon's Destruction. Master, the method that Bai Ling taught you just now can't be foolproof. Half an hour later, Longao had already left the Dragon Seal space. With the help of Bai Ling and Long Fu, Longao's confidence rose slightly. The 9-headed royal dragon sensed for a few hours, but in the end, it chose to give up. While feeling depressed, the 9-headed royal dragon fell asleep. This was the common problem of every dragon, they loved to sleep. Longao used teleportation and concealed his aura to appear in front of the 9-headed royal dragon. According to Longao's own strength, as long as he appeared, he would definitely be discovered by the 9-headed royal dragon. But now, with the help of Bai Ling and Long Fu, the 9-headed royal dragon did not sense Longao's aura. But even so, Longao didn't dare to be careless, because he knew what it meant to wake up the 9-headed royal dragon. In the face of such a terrifying existence, it was fortunate that he had the help of Bai Ling and Long Fu. Longao carefully continued to approach. Just as he was about to make a move, the sleeping nine-headed royal dragon suddenly opened its eyes. An icy aura directly enveloped Longao. The nine-headed royal dragon seemed to be sneering and coldly said, "You really don't know life from death. Since that's the case, I'll let you die earlier." Startled, Longao looked at the nine-headed royal dragon's cold eyes. Of course, he knew what had happened. Although he didn't know how the nine-headed royal dragon discovered him, Longao was very clear about one thing. At this moment of life and death, he had to leave this place as soon as possible. Otherwise, only death would await him. However, the nine-headed royal dragon's dragon breath was too powerful. Even if Longao wanted to enter the dragon seal space, he seemed to be powerless. Was he really going to die here? Chapter 875. What the hell happened? It was hard to imagine why he couldn't enter the dragon seal space. All along, the dragon seal space had been Longao's greatest reliance. The biggest reason he dared to take the risk to devour the nine-headed emperor dragon was because he had the help of the dragon seal space. But what was the result? Knowing that he was going to die, Longao still didn't choose to give up. Because in his heart, he wouldn't give up until the last step. "Master, this nine-headed emperor dragon is more terrifying than I imagined, but wait a moment." Hearing Long Fu's words, Longao already understood what had happened. If there were no accidents, he couldn't enter the dragon seal space this time, mainly because Long Fu had cut off the connection. Although he knew that Long Fu wouldn't harm him, Longao still felt somewhat uncomfortable in his heart. If he fell out with Long Fu or had any conflicts, wouldn't Long Fu be able to kill him at any time? Thinking of this, Longao's face became more and more solemn. The nine-headed emperor dragon didn't seem to put Longao in its eyes, and even more disdained to make a move. It only relied on its dragon breath to directly crush the other party to death. If it was an ordinary human martial artist, even a divine path martial artist, the nine-headed emperor dragon would be able to do this easily. But Longao was the only one that the nine-headed emperor dragon couldn't do. Longao persisted. He was waiting for someone. At this moment, Longao was simply depressed to the extreme because he didn't want Xiling to come. Xiling was like a ghost, constantly chasing after him. But now, he really hoped that Xiling would come, but Xiling still hadn't come. Longao didn't sit still and wait for death. The god-punishing sword had already appeared and instantly slashed at the nine-headed emperor dragon. Countless sword chi were like meteors. If the god-punishing sword wasn't sealed, it shouldn't be a problem to kill the nine-headed emperor dragon. But when the sword chi hit the nine-headed emperor dragon, it was like scratching an itch. Brat. Before Xiling could finish his sentence, Longao was overjoyed. Xiling had made it in time. If he had been any later, he would have lost his life. According to Bai Ling's plan, it was to use the power of the god-slaying sword to forcefully devour the nine-headed emperor dragon. However, no one knew the consequences of doing so. However, Bai Ling wanted to help Longao. Longao had no doubts about Bai Ling, but he couldn't do that for himself and Bai Ling's safety. As for Long Fu's intention, he wanted to use the nine-headed emperor dragon to kill two birds with one stone. It was very simple. The first was to use the nine-headed emperor dragon to completely eliminate Xiling's lock on Longao. The second was to use Xiling's power to let the god-slaying sword devour the nine-headed emperor dragon so that Longao could reproduce the emperor dragon 9 fatal strikes. As soon as Xiling appeared, before he could deal with Longao, he saw the nine-headed emperor dragon shooting at him. He was shocked because Xiling never thought that he would meet the emperor of the nine-headed emperor dragon clan at this time and place. He didn't dare to be careless. Xiling knew very well what the nine-headed emperor dragon meant. Similarly, Xiling instantly understood the other party's intention. He wanted to kill with a borrowed knife. With a cold snort in his heart, Xiling slapped the nine-headed emperor dragon with his palm. In the blink of an eye, the two sides were engaged in a fierce battle. As for Longao, he entered the dragon seal space and waited for the battle between the nine-headed emperor dragon and Xiling. Without a doubt, Longao was almost certain that Xiling would win this battle. At that time, he would be able to reap the benefits. It was also because of this that Longao was looking forward to the result of the battle between Xiling and the nine-headed Emperor Dragon. Outside the Dragon Seal space. It had to be said that the nine-headed Emperor Dragon was very powerful. At the very least, even if Long Batian was here, he might not be a match for the nine-headed Emperor Dragon. However, the nine-headed Emperor Dragon was still not a match for Xiling. As a Genling who had devoured his original body, Xiling's strength was unquestionable. You want to fight against me? Dream on. At this time, Xiling suddenly transformed into a purple sword. It shone brightly like the sun in the nine heavens. The nine-headed Emperor Dragon, who was still showing off just now, looked at the purple sword in front of him and trembled in fear. It seemed to have thought of something. Before the nine-headed Emperor Dragon could turn around and escape, Xiling's purple sword had already slashed down. Without giving the nine-headed Emperor Dragon any chance, he was devoured by the purple sword in less than 10 moves. This was Xiling's strength. This was the strength of a Genling who had devoured his original body. After killing the nine-headed Emperor Dragon, Xiling stood there coldly. His face was gloomy to the extreme. In this situation, if Xiling couldn't see Longao's intention, then Xiling's brain must have been flooded with water. Xiling didn't stay any longer. In Xiling's opinion, since the other party wanted to use the nine-headed Emperor Dragon to deal with him, and he was fine, the other party definitely wouldn't stay any longer. Not long after Xiling left, Longao's figure appeared. Long Fu, what should I do? I've already taken control of the nine-headed Emperor Dragon's soul. Master, quickly devour it. Nodding, Longao didn't have the slightest bit of carelessness. He immediately took out the god-slaying sword and directly devoured the soul that Long Fu had sent out. Not only that, Longao sat on the ground and began to try to merge with the god-slaying sword to devour the so-called soul. After all, the nine-headed Emperor Dragon's soul was simply too useful to him. Emperor Dragon's 9 kills. Although the god-slaying sword had been sealed, after devouring the soul, the god-slaying sword's madness shocked Longao. In just a few hours, the soul had been completely devoured. What a terrifying devouring speed. However, Longao couldn't care less about the devouring speed of the god-slaying sword because he had already comprehended the so-called Emperor Dragon's 9 fatal moves. Each move was fatal. If he could truly comprehend the Emperor Dragon's 9 fatal moves, it would be extremely beneficial for him to kill his enemies in the future. After an unknown amount of time, Longao finally opened his eyes and asked directly, Long Fu, have you really solved Xiling's lock-on me? This was what Longao was most concerned about. After all, devouring the nine-headed Emperor Dragon was a small matter when entering the valley, but completely solving Xiling's lock-on was a big matter. If he couldn't do it, then this trip would be in vain. In the future, he would still be locked on by Xiling, and there would be endless trouble. Master, I've already helped you settle this matter. Just now, when Xiling was dealing with the nine-headed Emperor Dragon, I took advantage of the fact that Xiling wasn't paying attention and used the nine-headed Emperor Dragon's aura to completely eliminate your aura from Xiling's body. From now on, Xiling won't be able to lock on to your aura no matter what. Hearing Long Fu's words, Longao was instantly delighted. But at this time, Bai Ling, who had been silent all this time, suddenly said, Young Master Long, I have something to ask you. I hope you can answer me truthfully, okay? Chapter 876. Longao was very curious. He didn't know what Bai Ling wanted to ask. Longao had always felt guilty towards Bai Ling. The reason was simple. In Longao's opinion, when he forcibly sealed Bai Ling, not only did Bai Ling not have the slightest resentment, but she had also been helpful to him. The more Bai Ling was like this, the more guilty he felt. Okay. Young Master Long, you didn't use all the methods I just taught you. Also, my sister's sudden appearance, was it part of your plan? If it were anyone else, Longao might not tell the truth. But towards Bai Ling, Longao was really unwilling to lie. Even if he knew that if he said it, it would definitely hurt Bai Ling. No matter what, Xiling was Bai Ling's sister. Bai Ling, you're right. This time, I did want to use the nine-headed Emperor Dragon to get rid of your sister. I believe you know your sister's strength better than I do. Longao thought for a moment, and finally said, "If I'm always locked on by your sister, maybe one day I'll be killed by your sister." Hearing this, Bai Ling sighed deeply. Of course, he knew his sister's strength very well. "Young Master Long, if my sister was at her peak, I wouldn't be worried at all. To tell you the truth, my sister hasn't recovered yet. If the nine-headed Emperor Dragon wasn't seriously injured, my sister really wouldn't be its opponent." Bai Ling didn't continue, but the meaning in her words was very clear. Longao was also a little surprised because he didn't expect the nine-headed Emperor Dragon to be seriously injured. It was hard to imagine how terrifying the nine-headed Emperor Dragon at its peak would be if it was still so strong even after being injured. No matter what, the nine-headed Emperor Dragon had been devoured by the Godslayer sword, and he had obtained the Emperor Dragon 9 kills. More importantly, from now on, Xiling would no longer be able to lock onto his aura, which meant that it would be very difficult for Xiling to find him. "Bai Ling, I know what you mean. However, don't worry. I promised you back then that no matter what, I would never harm your elder sister. You must believe me." Bai Ling did not continue to speak, and the surroundings became quiet again. Longao shrugged helplessly. Since Bai Ling didn't want to talk about it, he didn't ask for a snub. Longao did not leave immediately. Instead, he entered the dragon seal space. There were some things that he hadn't figured out yet, and he wanted to figure them out as well. "Long Fu, I really want to ask you, what is the strength of the nine-headed Emperor Dragon?" "Master, since you've already guessed it, why bother asking?" Sure enough. It seemed that he had really hit the jackpot. If the nine-headed Emperor Dragon had not been seriously injured, even with the help of Bai Ling and Long Fu, it was still unknown whether he could leave this place alive. "Master, I was going to let you devour the spirit of the nine-headed Emperor Dragon by force, but in your current situation, it's not suitable." Without waiting for Longao to speak, Long Fu continued, "Master, Bai Ling has already said that the Godslayer sword has been forcibly sealed by us. In your hands, it's no different from an ordinary sword. In that case, it's better to let the Godslayer sword devour the spirit of the nine-headed Emperor Dragon. I believe that the power of the Godslayer sword will increase by at least 10 times. Of course, Long Fu knew what Longao meant. Supreme Divine Path. The true strength of the nine-headed Emperor Dragon was Supreme Divine Path. Such an existence could directly kill any divine beast, even if it was a level 5 divine beast. Thinking that the Godslayer sword had already devoured the spirit of the nine-headed Emperor Dragon, Longao was looking forward to the power of the Godslayer sword. Immediately leaving the dragon seal space, Longao took out the Godslayer sword and coldly looked at the space in front of him. With his eyebrows raised, the Godslayer sword in his hand instantly slashed out. This sword was unbelievably fast. This sword did not have any energy fluctuations. It was like an ordinary person holding a sword and thrusting it out. But the next scene made even Longao a little dumbfounded. Because he never thought that the Godslayer sword that had devoured the spirit of the nine-headed Emperor Dragon would have such terrifying power. It was simply too frightening. When the sword chi shot out, the surrounding space seemed to tremble, and there were traces of it. Although it was only a trace, such spatial fragmentation would definitely shock everyone if it was seen by others. There were no energy fluctuations, but it could create such a powerful destructive force. Was this real? If 2 Saint Venerables could appear now, it would be pretty good. Just as Longao muttered to himself, he saw a figure flash by in the distance. In a flash. Of course, Longao did not let go of this opportunity. At the same time that he used the spatial teleportation, Longao's body also disappeared. Immediately after, the Godslayer sword in Longao's hand ruthlessly thrusted out. Although the other party was only a Saint Emperor spiritual beast, an existence of the same level as Longao, such a spiritual beast was still unable to resist the Godslayer sword in Longao's hand. One sword. Just one sword. Just one sword to kill a Saint Emperor spiritual beast. Probably only Longao could do such a thing. Longao was very satisfied with the current power of the Godslayer sword. "Master, use the Emperor Dragon's 9 fates in the Godslayer sword and see how it works." Nodding, Longao also wanted to try the power of the Emperor Dragon's 9 fates. The Emperor Dragon's 9 fates could not only be used on the fist, but also on the sword. Ever since he comprehended the Emperor Dragon's 9 fates, he had not used it, so he did not know how powerful it was. He took a deep breath. Without any warning, the Godslayer sword in Longao's hand shot out again. This time, he used the Emperor Dragon's 9 fates in the Godslayer sword. Dragon roars rang out, one after another, layer after layer. In an instant, 9 dragon roars resounded between heaven and earth. At this time, the figures of 9 yellow dragons appeared. There were still no energy fluctuations, but Longao could clearly sense that the power of the Emperor Dragon's 9 fates in the Godslayer sword had increased by 3 times. What kind of concept was this? Big brother, can you impart this martial skill to me? Long Chong, are you talking? Hearing Long Chong suddenly speak, Longao was shocked. Although he and Long Chong could transmit sound, but for so long, Long Chong had been unable to speak. Hihi, big brother, I just realized that I can speak. Maybe it's because I've fused with 100 drops of dragon blood. Big brother, the martial technique you used just now was really powerful and suitable for me. I don't know. Long Chong chuckled again. Although he did not finish his sentence, the meaning behind his words was already very clear. If it was anyone else, Longao would definitely not impart the Emperor Dragon's 9 fates, but for Long Chong, Longao would naturally not refuse. Chapter 877. Middle Sky Martial Continent. The 10 sects were the Long family, the Alchemy Guild, the Martial Artists Alliance, the WN Show sect, the Heaven and Earth sect, the 5 Elements sect, the Wanjan School, the Sword sect, the Purple Thunder sect, and the Black Heaven sect. However, in the Sky Martial Continent, other than the 10 sects, there were other top-notch existences such as the Dragon Clan, the Phoenix Clan, and the Chilean Clan. The Phoenix Clan. As the top-notch existence among the spiritual beasts, the Phoenix Clan was not an existence that ordinary spiritual beasts could compare to in terms of strength, background, and status. In a secluded cave. Ever since Aoshue was sent back to the Phoenix Clan and insisted that she was not a virgin, Aoshue was placed under house arrest here. If not for the Phoenix royal bloodline flowing in Aoshue's body, she would have been killed by the Phoenix Clan's elders. In the cave. It was quiet. Only Aoshue sat alone in the cave with a melancholic expression. No one knew what she was thinking. Mother, you're here. Seeing her mother walk in, Aoshue had a bitter expression. Both her and her mother had a hard life. They had someone they loved, but they could not be reunited. Looking at her daughter, Liu Ying sighed deeply in her heart. Before Liu Ying could say anything, Aoshue suddenly said, "Mother, I'm pregnant." "What is it?" Liu Ying did not seem to react, but in the next second, her expression changed as if she had seen a ghost. "Aoshue, do you know what you've just said means?" Nodding, Aoshue was not a fool. Of course, she knew the consequences of her pregnancy. Although the Phoenix royal bloodline flowed in her body, she would not be allowed to have a child. Her mother was an example. Aoshue could imagine that if the Phoenix clan found out about her pregnancy, they would either force her to abort the child or kill her. Aoshue did not say anything. She had decided that no matter what happened, she would give birth to Longao's child. "Aoshue, do you want it?" Although Liu Ying did not finish her words, the meaning in her words was already very clear. Aoshue nodded again. Since things had already come to this point, there was no point in hiding anything. Furthermore, the woman in front of her was her mother. If she couldn't even tell her mother about this, she couldn't imagine who else in this world could. "Mother, there's no need for me to say anything more. You've also encountered something like this back then. So, you don't need to persuade me. I've already made up my mind." Looking at her daughter, Liu Ying seemed to want to say something, but in the end, she did not say anything. It was just as her daughter had said. Back then, how could she not have known this? However, in the end, she still chose to walk down a path of no return. It was precisely because of this that Liu Ying did not know what she should or could say. "Aoshue, since you've already decided, I won't say anything more. However, you can't let the Phoenix clan know that you're pregnant. If they decide to get rid of you, even I won't be able to do anything. Aoshue was very clear about what her mother had said. Before Aoshue could speak, Liu Ying continued, Aoshue, you're already pregnant and want to give birth. It's impossible for you to continue staying in the Phoenix clan. How about this? I'll go make arrangements now and see if I can transfer you out. Remember, no matter what happens, don't get caught. Do you understand? Hearing her mother's words, Aoshue jumped in fright. She was very clear about the consequences of her mother's actions. If the Phoenix clan found out, the consequences would be unimaginable. She was the one who had caused this, so why should she implicate her mother? Of course, Aoshue would not agree. She immediately said, Mother, I'll settle this myself. Before Aoshue could speak, Liu Ying had already waved her hand and turned to leave. She did not give Aoshue any chance to speak. Seeing this situation, Aoshue sighed deeply. The whole cave was quiet. Even she had never thought that she would be pregnant this time. After thinking about it, Aoshue still decided that no matter what, she could not look for Longao. She was very clear that if the Phoenix clan found out about the feud between her and Longao, and that the child in her stomach was Longao's, she believed that the Phoenix clan would not let Longao off. Caressing her own stomach, Aoshue once again deeply sighed. Fate made fools of people. Who asked her to have the blood of the Phoenix imperial family in her body? It was precisely because of this point that she was destined to be unable to be together with Longao in this lifetime. But no matter what, she already had Longao's flesh and blood in her stomach. It was also another form of spiritual sustenance. Longao, no matter what, I'll take good care of our child. I hope you won't come looking for me. Aoshue was almost certain that Longao definitely knew that she was in the Phoenix clan. According to Longao's character, Aoshue was very clear that once Longao had the chance to come to the Phoenix clan, he would definitely not give up. If that was the case, things would be very troublesome. In the Nameless Valley, after successfully devouring the nine-headed Emperor Dragon and Long Chong spoke, Longao was extremely excited. In the following time, Longao imparted the Emperor Dragon's 9 kills that he had just comprehended to Long Chong. According to Long Chong, this martial skill was very suitable for him. In other words, the Emperor Dragon's 9 kills that Long Chong cultivated was even more powerful than the 9 kills that Longao cultivated. This was also something that Longao had never expected. Longao had comprehended the Emperor Dragon's 9 kills for a few days, but he had only comprehended a little. However, Long Chong's situation was completely different. Long Chong's comprehension speed was more than 10 times faster than Longao's. Moreover, he had already achieved a small success. Big brother, this martial skill is simply too powerful. Once I use it, I'm confident that I can directly kill a Saint Venerable. Longao did not doubt Long Chong's strength at all. He asked, Long Chong, how's the fusion of the 100 drops of dragon blood? Longao was looking forward to this matter. No matter what, he had risked his life to snatch the 100 drops of dragon blood from Yi Wushuang in order to let Long Chong devour the 100 drops of dragon blood, condense his body, and advance to become an ancient divine dragon. Longao was even more clear that if Long Chong could really devour the 100 drops of dragon blood and become an ancient divine dragon, then it would definitely be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for Long Chong. Nodding and shaking his head, Long Chong did not know whether to be depressed or happy. He said, Big brother, I've already fused some 100 drops of dragon blood, but it's impossible to completely fuse them now. Even so, I can clearly sense that my strength and realm are growing every day. At this speed, I believe that I should be able to devour all 100 drops of dragon blood in less than 10 years. 10 years. Hearing this number, Longao was also shocked. However, 10 years for a martial artist, especially for a powerful spirit beast, was nothing at all. Perhaps it was just a blink of an eye. Long Chong, I don't need to say more about the 100 drops of dragon blood. Just keep it in your heart. As for the Divine Dragon Crown and Divine Dragon Pearl, you have to speed up the fusion. The Divine Dragon Pearl was the supreme treasure of the Dragon God of the Dragon Clan. Once Long Chong successfully fused it, there was no doubt that Long Chong would have the opportunity to chase after the Dragon God's position in the future. Longao knew that he and Long Chong had to do this. The Divine Dragon Pearl was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for him and Long Chong. As for the Divine Dragon Crown, Longao was looking forward to it even more. The Divine Dragon Crown was obtained from the Divine Mathematician. According to the Divine Mathematician, as long as Long Chong could fuse with the Divine Dragon Crown, then Long Chong's strength would definitely be able to reach the peak of the martial Dao in the future. Longao was very clear in his heart that among all his enemies in the Sky Martial Continent, the strongest was the Heavenly Dao. In other words, in front of the Heavenly Dao, the 10 directional cauldrons were just trash. If he and Long Chong could both reach the peak of the martial Dao, then in a 1 versus 2 situation, killing the Heavenly Dao would not be impossible. It was precisely because of this that Longao was looking forward to Long Chong reaching the peak of the martial Dao. How could Long Chong not know what his big brother meant? Nodding his head heavily, Long Chong said firmly, "Big brother, don't worry, I will definitely fuse with the Divine Dragon Pearl and the Divine Dragon Crown, as well as the 100 drops of dragon blood. At that time, if you and I join hands, I don't believe that we won't be able to defeat the Heavenly Dao." Yes. At this time, Long Chong seemed to have thought of something and said, "Big brother, third brother still can't speak?" Regarding the third brother that Long Chong mentioned, Longao naturally knew who he was referring to. He helplessly sighed. Regarding this matter, there was nothing he could do. He said, "Long Ming's situation is a bit special. After I'm done with these matters, I'll think of a way to help Long Ming increase his strength." Longao sometimes felt very helpless towards Long Ming, not knowing what to do. Especially Long Ming's hatred. Longao was very clear that with their current strength, once they entered the 9 netherworld space, they would definitely die. It was precisely because of this that for so long, he had not mentioned anything about the 9 netherworld space. Longao's meaning was actually very simple. It was to wait for the 3 of them to increase their strength to the point where they could shake the 9 netherworld space. At that time, it would be time to avenge Long Ming. "Big brother, what do you plan to do next?" "Blackwater City, Long Chong, your top priority right now is to refine the 100 droplets of dragon blood and try to fuse the God Dragon Pearl and God Dragon Crown. As for everything else, leave it to me. Do you understand?" Longao looked forward to Long Chong's growth very much. In other words, the stronger Long Chong was, the more beneficial it would be for him. Long Chong was very attached to Longao, because ever since the day he rose up, Long Chong had been by his side. From the beginning to the end, Longao truly treated Long Chong as a true brother, the kind that would last for life. Nodding heavily again, Long Chong said firmly, "Don't worry, big brother. I'll definitely work even harder. I definitely won't let you down, but you have to be careful." Understood. Longao and Long Chong looked at each other. They could see a trace of determination in each other's eyes. "P.S. Everyone, hold on for a few more days. Little Nine really has something to do, and he's in a bad mood. He's not in the mood to write. Little Nine will make up for it later." Chapter 878. Sky Martial Continent, Phoenix Clan. "Aoshue, you have to remember, no matter what happens, don't come back." Looking at Aoshue in front of her, she did not cry, but her face was filled with sorrow. Aoshue was very clear in her heart that if she left, there would only be 2 results. Either she would die outside, or she would be caught and brought back. Aoshue had already decided. Since she had already decided, she would protect the child in her womb even if she had to die. "Mother, you have to take care of yourself." Liu Ying nodded. This time, Liu Ying had taken the risk to pave the way for Aoshue. As long as there were no accidents, it should not be difficult for Aoshue to leave the Phoenix Clan. One had to know that Liu Ying had been with the Phoenix Clan for many years. She knew the Phoenix Clan very well. Furthermore, the person in front of her was her own daughter. It was because of this that Liu Ying did not hesitate even though she knew the consequences. "Go. If you can't find Longao for the time being, you can return to the 9 provinces continent first. As long as you are careful, it will not be easy for the Phoenix Clan to find you." Find Longao? Aoshue had already thought about this. She had already decided that no matter what happened, even if she was killed by the Phoenix clan, she would definitely not find Longao. She was very clear that if she went to find Longao, it would be the same as harming Longao. Aoshue was not willing to involve Longao. After all, the Phoenix clan was simply too powerful for Longao. It was simply an insurmountable gap. Everyone in the Sky Martial continent knew. Among the spiritual beasts, the Phoenix clan was one of the clans that could contend against the 10 directions. One could imagine how powerful the Phoenix clan was. As for what her mother had just said, Aoshue was also full of confidence. Although the Phoenix clan was one of the top superpowers in the Sky Martial continent, the Sky Martial continent was simply too big. Let's not talk about the Tianwu continent. Just the other 4 continents. If the entire Tianwu continent was added together, even the Phoenix clan would not be able to find a single person in the vast sea of people. It would definitely not be an easy task. As long as he was careful, he should be fine. Looking at the sky, Liu Ying said, "Aoshue, it's getting late. I've already arranged everything. You just have to follow what I just said and keep going forward." Aoshue didn't say anything because things had already come to this point. She didn't know what she should say. They were connected by blood. This was family. No matter where they went, no matter what happened, their relationship would never change. Aoshue didn't say another word before she left. She followed her mother's instructions. After leaving the cave, Aoshue immediately headed down the mountain. With her speed, she would be able to leave the Phoenix clan in less than 2 hours. Inside the cave. Just as Aoshue's figure left, before Liu Ying could leave, the Phoenix clan patriarch appeared out of thin air. The patriarch of the Phoenix clan was dressed in white and had a folding fan in his hand. He looked very gentle and refined, just like a scholar. However, such a frail scholar was the clan leader of the Phoenix clan, a super force. His strength was comparable to the dragon gods. One could imagine just how powerful this person was. Clan leader. Looking at the frail scholar in front of her, Liu Ying sighed deeply in her heart. She didn't dare to show the slightest difference. Liu Ying, you've been in the Phoenix clan for so many years. Let me ask you, how do you think I've treated you? Honestly, Liu Ying said, "Clan leader, you've taken good care of me." Liu Ying didn't know what the clan leader meant by asking this. Could it be that the Phoenix clan already knew about Aoshue? "I know you've been holding a grudge for so many years, but I hope you can understand that the Phoenix clan has rules. If it weren't for the bloodline in your body, you wouldn't have lived until now." Liu Ying didn't say anything. She still didn't know what the clan leader meant. The scholar's face suddenly turned cold. He snorted and said, "You gave birth to Aoshue without permission. That itself is a capital crime. However, seeing that Aoshue has the royal bloodline, not only will I let you go, Aoshue can also live." Clan leader. Waving his hand, the scholar's face was very gloomy. He said coldly, "You let Aoshue go this time. You don't care about the Phoenix clan at all. If I capture Aoshue, guess what will happen to Aoshue?" Liu Ying was shocked. Liu Ying immediately said, "Clan leader, Aoshue is still a child. She's not suitable for this place. I beg you, for my sake, I hope you can let her go." He completely ignored Liu Ying's pleading. The scholar didn't seem to immediately chase after Aoshue. He thought for a while and said, "Liu Ying, the bloodline in Aoshue's body is the royal bloodline. Do you know what that means?" Liu Ying nodded and didn't say anything. "You don't know. I've already checked. Not only does Aoshue have the royal bloodline in her body, but her physique is also 1 in a million. If she can awaken her bloodline and be reborn, Aoshue will step onto the peak of martial arts." At this point, the scholar looked forward to it. He knew very well that Aoshue was the hope of the Phoenix clan. Because only when Aoshue awakened her bloodline, the Phoenix clan could become the strongest force. Liu Ying was also shocked. She never thought that Aoshue would have such a thing. She finally understood why the Phoenix clan valued Aoshue so much. So this was the reason. "Clan leader, as long as you're willing to let Aoshue go, I can promise you anything." Liu Ying, do you really think that it's a bad thing for Aoshue to stay in the Phoenix clan? Was it not? Although Liu Ying didn't say anything, The expression on her face said it all. Liu Ying, I've just said that Aoshue's physique and bloodline are different from other clansmen. If she can't awaken her bloodline, then I can say with certainty that Aoshue will die outside in less than a year. Clan leader, you're joking, right? In all this time, when have you ever seen me joke? Liu Ying's face instantly darkened as she looked at the clan leader of the Phoenix clan. She never thought that her daughter's bloodline and physique would be so troublesome. If it was really as the clan leader said, then the consequences would be unimaginable. If that was really the case, then not only would Aoshue not benefit from leaving the Phoenix clan, but she would also lose her life. At this moment, Liu Ying started to regret it. However, now that things had developed to this point, there was nothing she could do. This was because even she didn't know where Aoshue was. Liu Ying, although I didn't agree to you being with Ao Tian back then, at the end of the day, I did it for your own good. I can now guarantee that as long as Aoshue can awaken her bloodline and step onto the peak of the martial way, I can promise the two of you that you can find the person you love. However, if you go against my wishes, you don't need me to explain the consequences. Chapter 879. The Phoenix clan leader's meaning was very clear. Liu Ying's expression was very ugly because she chose to believe the clan leader. Clan leader, I'll go and find Aoshue now. Before Liu Ying could finish speaking, Aoshue had already been brought back by the two elders. Looking at her daughter in front of her, Liu Ying sighed deeply. She was not at all surprised by this outcome. In fact, it was already very obvious. Since the clan leader already knew that Aoshue had left, he would not dawdle here without full confidence. Clan leader, although we were in the wrong this time, I hope that you can let Aoshue go. She's only a child, the clan leader said indifferently. The patriarch said indifferently, I believe you should have understood my words just now. I will definitely do what I said. Hearing the clan leader's promise, Liu Ying heaved a long sigh of relief. No matter what, it was fine as long as Aoshue's life could be saved. As for the child in Aoshue's stomach, she could not care less. Aoshue did not have any expression. She could only blame fate for being caught by the two elders. She could not blame anyone else. Clan leader. The clan leader liked Aoshue from the bottom of his heart. Otherwise, he would not have been so polite. If it was an ordinary clan member, even if they had the royal bloodline and had a different constitution, they would not have been so relaxed. Aoshue, since things have come to this point, why don't we put everything on the table and talk about it? Aoshue nodded, and the two elders slowly retreated. Not only that, but even Liu Ying also retreated. There were only two people left in the cave. One was Aoshue, and the other was the clan leader of the Phoenix clan. The entire cave was silent. Neither of them spoke first. In the end, it was the clan leader of the Phoenix clan who spoke first. Aoshue, I already know about your situation. I just told your mother that if you are unable to awaken your bloodline, you will die in at most a year even if you leave. I don't care. With a deep sigh, the clan leader looked deeply at the girl in front of him and said helplessly, you today are almost exactly the same as Liu Ying back then. Aoshue remained silent. Aoshue, since you're already pregnant, even if you're not thinking about yourself, you should think about the child in your belly. What do you think? Children? Aoshue was finally moved when she heard the patriarch mention a child. She asked, Patriarch, since you already know that I'm pregnant, how are you going to deal with me? Aoshue, until now, could it be that you are still unwilling to call me grandfather? Aoshue was unfamiliar with the title grandpa. As it turned out, Liu Ying was the daughter of the Phoenix clan's clan chief. In other words, Aoshue was the granddaughter of the Phoenix clan's clan chief. However, ever since that incident, Liu Ying had never called the clan leader father again. Liu Ying's mother was also a human. However, in order to protect his position and identity, the clan leader did not hesitate to kill his beloved. Who could say whether he was right or wrong? Seeing that Aoshue did not speak, Liu Yi sighed deeply. Since you're unwilling to call me grandpa, then forget it. However, I'll still say the same thing. If the bloodline in your body is unable to awaken, not only you, even the child in your belly will be in danger. It's up to you to believe it or not. Aoshue could disregard her own life. However, for the child in her belly, Aoshue knew that she could not be so selfish. However, since her grandfather had said so, he would definitely not let her off so easily. Aoshue raised her head and looked at the so-called grandfather in front of her. She asked, I agree to stay in the Phoenix clan, but you have to promise me 3 things. Tell me. First, you're not allowed to attack the person I love. Second, you have to ensure that my child is born smoothly. Third, I hope that you can help my parents in the future. No problem. Liu Yi agreed without even thinking. In fact, ever since he found out about Aoshue, he had already given up on Liu Ying. In his eyes, his granddaughter was more useful than his own daughter. Longao did not know about Aoshue. Blackwater City was a relatively large city in the middle Tianwu continent. Blackwater City was still divided by 3 superpowers. They were the Sword Sect, the Wanzhan School, and the Martial Artists Alliance. Until now, no one knew that Longao had killed Dongfang Liang. However, he had entered Blackwater City this time. It could be said that it was very dangerous. If he was not careful, he would be doomed eternally. Among the 3 superpowers, only the Sword Sect did not seem to be so hostile to Longao. As for the other 2 superpowers, the Wanzhan School and the Martial Artists Alliance, they could not wait to tear Longao into pieces. The Wanzhan School and the Martial Artists Alliance, one was in the dark while the other was in the light. However, both of them had the same goal, which was to kill Longao. Longao entered Blackwater City this time to represent Fire Beacon City to participate in the martial artists demonstration. However, in order to get rid of Xiling, he was delayed and did not make it to the martial artists demonstration. As soon as Longao stepped into Blackwater City, the 3 superpowers had already received the news. After entering Blackwater City, Longao did not stop at all. After all, he was already late. It was not worth it to lose the chance to enter the higher-level Martial Artists Alliance because of this. Martial Artists Alliance. As one of the 3 superpowers in Blackwater City, although the Martial Artists Alliance was only one of the branches, its strength and background were obvious. Who are you? Longao took out a token from his chest. It was the token of the Deputy Hall Master of Fire Beacon City's Martial Artists Alliance. If it was in Fire Beacon City, Longao's status would definitely be top-notch. However, in Blackwater City, the 2 guards only nodded indifferently and said, please. Longao laughed in his heart. Of course, Longao knew that the dogs raised by powerful masters were very powerful. Sure enough, the 2 little guards actually did not put him, the Deputy Hall Master, in their eyes. This was really interesting. After entering the Martial Artists Alliance, Longao was led by a servant to the lobby of the Martial Artists Alliance. In the lobby, Longao entered and found that there were 7 people sitting in the lobby. Other than Lu Yun and Lu Fei, there was an old man sitting at the head of the table. There were 2 people sitting on his left and right. Without a doubt, Longao had a rough understanding of the situation of the Martial Artists Alliance in Blackwater City. If he was not mistaken, the 5 people should be the Hall Master of the Martial Artists Alliance and the 4 elders. Black Wolf, why aren't you saluting the Hall Master? Seeing Black Wolf enter, Lu Yun sneered in his heart, but his face was indifferent. This was because he wanted to use the Martial Artists Alliance in Blackwater City to get rid of Black Wolf in one fell swoop. People were like this. It would be a lie to say that he was not afraid. It was not easy for Lu Yun. In his own territory, there was someone stronger than him. Chapter 880. Black Wolf greets the Hall Master. Huang Shan waved his hand and said with a smile, "You're too polite." Huang Shan was the Hall Master of the Martial Artists Alliance of Blackwater City. He was also a Peak Saint Emperor and was one of the top martial artists in Blackwater City. Black Wolf, why did you come so late? Before Longao could reply, Lu Fei continued, "Do you know that the martial artist demonstration has already ended, but you still haven't come?" Do you have any respect for the Martial Artists Alliance? Lu Fei's voice was cold. Anyone with a discerning eye could tell that Lu Fei was looking for trouble. Longao was not a fool. Of course, he could tell. However, Longao ignored Lu Fei. No matter what, this was Blackwater City and not Fire Beacon City. Being ignored, Lu Fei was furious. However, Lu Yun stopped him. Black Wolf, you're representing Fire Beacon City in this martial artist demonstration. In the end, you delayed it. Shouldn't you take responsibility? How could Longao not know what Lu Yun and Lu Fei meant? Two shameless things. However, Longao did not have the slightest bit of shame. He only had one goal, and that was to enter the higher-level Martial Artists Alliance and find Yu Yin. Being ignored by Black Wolf as well, Lu Yun's face darkened. Black Wolf, my big brother is talking to you. Are you deaf? Lu Fei, don't waste time here. I only agreed to participate in the martial artist demonstration. As for the matter that I delayed, I have nothing to say. Waving his hand, Huang Shan stopped the two. He smiled and asked, "You're Black Wolf?" Longao nodded and replied, "That's right." Longao was not too worried about Saint Emperors. Although he had not fully recovered from his injuries, with his current sword aura, he could even fight a Saint Venerable, let alone a Saint Emperor. You're not bad. I heard that you challenged Wanzhan School. Not only did you defeat Dongfang Liang, but you also successfully broke the Myriad Ancestral Swords formation. Would you be willing to become an elder of the Martial Artists Alliance? Hall Master Huang. Hearing Huang Shan's words, Lu Yun and Lu Fei were not fools. Of course, they knew what Huang Shan meant. Huang Shan snorted coldly. He was not a kind man or woman. How could he not know what the two of them were thinking? Huang Shan did not care. He did not take Lu Yun and Lu Fei seriously. Although Fire Beacon City's Martial Artist Alliance and Blackwater City's Martial Artist Alliance were both branches of the Martial Artist Alliance, the difference between the two was simply too great. They were simply not on the same level. Black Wolf, are you willing? Longao smiled. Lu Yun and Lu Fei's scheme did not succeed. He believed that they must be extremely frustrated. This was a typical case of trying to steal a chicken only to end up losing the rice used to lure it. The two of them looked at Longao, who was in front of them. Their faces were gloomy to the extreme because the two of them had never thought that Huang Shan would suddenly make such a move. However, due to the difference in strength, the two of them could only be angry but not dare to say anything. Since Hall Master Huang thinks so highly of me, I'll accept. Ha ha ha, good, good. Since things had come to this point, Lu Yun and Lu Fei did not continue to stay. Hall Master Huang, I would like to ask, why are you helping me? Longao did not believe that Huang Shan could not see the grudge between him and Lu Yun. If so, why would Huang Shan help him? No matter what, Blackwater City and Fire Beacon City belonged to the Martial Artists Alliance. Strictly speaking, Huang Shan and Lu Yun's relationship should be stronger than his. Smiling, Huang Shan pointed to a seat on the side and said, "Sit." After Longao sat down, Huang Shan continued, "Black Wolf, you and I are understanding people. Since that's the case, let's be frank. I have a huge grudge with Lu Yun. So this time, I'm not only helping you, but also helping me. Do you understand what I mean?" Nodding his head, Longao admired Huang Shan's straightforward character. At the very least, this kind of person was much stronger than Lu Yun. Previously, Lu Yun acted like a good person. But in the blink of an eye, he became a villain. This time, Huang Shan was obviously on his side. Otherwise, this battle would be unavoidable. Hall Master Huang, what do you want me to do? Kill. Huang Shan only said the word kill. The meaning behind it was clear. Because of this, Longao was shocked. He never thought that Huang Shan would want to use him to kill Lu Yun and Lu Fei. However, in order to gain Huang Shan's trust, Longao knew that he had to do this. Without saying a word, Longao turned around and left. In the blink of an eye, he had disappeared from the hall. Hall Master, are we really going to use this person to deal with Lu Yun and Lu Fei? Nodding his head, Huang Shan sneered and said, All these years, Lu Yun and Lu Fei have been looking down on me because of their powerful uncle. This time, Black Wolf's appearance is a good opportunity. The four great protectors did not say anything. However, they were all curious as to what the Hall Master meant. The four of them knew that with the strength of the Martial Artists Alliance in Blackwater City, it wouldn't be difficult for them to kill Lu Yun and Lu Fei. The reason why they hadn't made a move for so many years was because they were afraid that this matter would be leaked. If that was the case, why would the Hall Master take such a risk this time? After all, they didn't know much about this person. It was still unknown if this person was strong enough to kill Lu Yun and Lu Fei. Taking a step back, even if this person could kill Lu Yun and Lu Fei, once this matter was leaked and the two's uncle found out, the consequences would be unimaginable. This person is not simple. After thinking for a while, Huang Shan continued, I have received accurate news that not long after, the two's uncle will personally head to Fire Beacon City. By then, with his help, the two of them won't be afraid of me. Just in case, I have to make a move first. The four great protectors were still worried. Hall Master, what if Black Wolf is unable to kill the two of them? Huang Shan had also thought about the matter that the protectors were worried about. However, for some reason, when he first saw Black Wolf, he felt that Black Wolf would definitely be able to do it. Otherwise, he wouldn't have handed over such an important matter. Furthermore, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. As for Black Wolf's strength, Huang Shan was not worried at all. No matter what, Lu Yun and Lu Fei were powerful. Since the two of them were unable to kill Black Wolf, it could only mean that Black Wolf had already reached the illusionary divine stage. If an illusionary divine martial artist could become his friend, it would be the best thing that could happen. Huang Shan did not continue speaking. Now that things had come to this, he could not wait any longer. He hoped that he had made the right choice. If not, he would either succeed or die trying. Chapter 881. They left the Martial Artists Alliance. Big brother, that bastard Huang Shan actually dared to play tricks on us. Lu Yun's face was extremely gloomy. After all, he didn't expect Huang Shan to play tricks on them. According to their agreement, Huang Shan was responsible for dealing with Black Wolf when Black Wolf entered Blackwater City. But what happened in the end? Huang Shan has been very obedient all these years. I didn't expect him to play tricks on us this time. Big brother, what should we do now? Lu Fei knew that the Martial Artists Alliance in Blackwater City was very powerful. At the very least, it wasn't something he could fight against. If Huang Shan insisted on helping Black Wolf, they would be in big trouble. After thinking for a while, Lu Yun said, You want to fight with me? Lu Yun raised his eyebrows and continued, Second brother, Uncle has already sent a message to me. He will be here in 3 days. At that time, I want to see if Huang Shan will still act like this. Uncle? Hearing that Uncle was coming, Lu Fei was instantly overjoyed. He knew what Uncle meant. It was because of Uncle that Huang Shan had been afraid of him all these years. Just now, Huang Shan had said that if his uncle was here, Huang Shan would have immediately become a lapdog. This was the strength of his uncle. Big brother, should we return to Fire Beacon City or stay here? Return. Stay. Lu Yun lowered his head and began to ponder. After thinking for a while, the corner of his mouth rose and he snorted, Let's go back first. When Uncle comes, we will have a good discussion. After all, it's not a good idea to continue like this. Lu Yun and Lu Fei left Blackwater City and prepared to return to Fire Beacon City. However, just as the two of them left Blackwater City and were less than a kilometer away, a figure suddenly appeared and blocked their path. Black Wolf. Looking at the Black Wolf who suddenly appeared, both Lu Yun and Lu Fei sneered. In their eyes, Black Wolf was just a world emperor and an array master. Lu Yun, Lu Fei, you have offended Huang Shan. I don't need to say anything. Are you going to deal with it yourselves or do you need my help? Arrogant. Longao coldly stood in place, his voice without a trace of emotion. In order to see Yu Yin as soon as possible, he had already decided to kill these two people. Moreover, these two people were originally his enemies. Longao had never shown mercy to his enemies. Black Wolf, do you really think you can kill us? Lu Yun didn't think much of them, but Black Wolf's display of strength was enough to make them wary. No matter what, Black Wolf's strength and mastery of formations were clear for all to see. However, the two of them decided to take advantage of this opportunity to kill Black Wolf. Black Wolf, I'm really curious about your relationship with Huang Shan. Lu Yun was more or less surprised by this because his uncle was always around. Huang Shan wasn't a fool. If it wasn't for something, Huang Shan wouldn't have dared to provoke him. What he truly feared wasn't Black Wolf, but Huang Shan. What kind of tricks was Huang Shan playing? Longao shook his head and raised his eyebrows. He sneered and asked, "What's the relationship between me and Huang Shan got to do with you? Black Wolf, you're really arrogant." Longao didn't continue to talk nonsense. With the help of spatial teleportation, his body instantly disappeared. In the next second, Longao's body suddenly appeared behind Lu Fei. Before Lu Fei could react, his right fist had already punched out. "Black Wolf, how dare you?" Lu Yun never thought that Black Wolf could suddenly disappear and reappear. Such a martial technique was simply too terrifying. Seeing that Black Wolf wanted to deal with his second brother, Lu Yun was shocked. However, would Longao choose to give up this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity? Longao didn't care about the two world emperors. As he punched out with his right fist, Lu Fei's body was sent flying. Longao had used all his strength in this punch and Lu Fei was directly smashed to death. Lu Yun felt like he had gone crazy as his second brother was beaten to death right under his nose. In the blink of an eye, Lu Yun had already arrived and was fighting with Longao. From the beginning till the end, Lu Yun would never have thought that Longao wasn't a Void Realm martial artist, but a genuine illusionary divine martial artist. By the time Lu Yun realized it, it was already too late. He had killed Lu Yun in one hit. Looking at the two corpses on the ground, Longao sneered. With a flick of his right finger, the two corpses instantly turned into ashes. "Becoming my enemy is the sorrow of your life." Longao turned and headed towards Blackwater City. In a short while, he had already entered the Martial Artists Alliance. In the Martial Artists Alliance, Black Wolf, it's settled? Longao nodded his head. Although he admired Huang Shan's character, he was very wary of him. This was because Huang Shan was the classic example of a person who hid a knife behind a smile. This kind of person was the most dangerous because no one knew when they would be stabbed by him. It's done perfectly. No one will know about this. Very good, Black Wolf. Since things have come to this, I shall not hide the grudge between me and Lu Yun. At this point, Huang Shan seemed to be reluctant to say. However, after thinking about it, he finally said, "Lu Yun has an uncle who is a great emperor martial artist. All these years, Lu Yun have been using this uncle to look down on me and the Martial Artists Alliance. They have been picking on me." "I see." Although Huang Shan did not finish his words, Longao already knew the gist of it. No wonder Lu Yun and Lu Fei wanted to use Blackwater City to deal with him. It turned out that they had a great emperor uncle behind them. If Huang Shan had not said it himself, he would not have known. Fortunately, no one would know that he had killed the two of them. Otherwise, if this great emperor martial artist knew about it, he would be in endless trouble. He believed that Huang Shan was thinking the same. "Black Wolf, I have received news that the two of their uncles will be heading to Fire Beacon City in 3 days. Although the news of you killing the two of them will not be leaked, it is better to be safe than sorry. You should be careful, understand?" Longao was very confident that he had killed the two of them. Unless the divine mathematician personally came, no one in the entire Tianwu continent would know about it. However, just as Huang Shan had said, it was better to be safe than sorry. If this matter was leaked, it would be very troublesome. Longao was very clear about what a great emperor martial artist meant. Ignoring the fact that he had yet to recover from his injuries, even if he was at his peak, he would not be a match for a great emperor martial artist. Even if he used his sword energy, it would still be the same. Therefore, Longao had already decided that unless he had no other choice, he would not easily provoke a great emperor martial artist. Chapter 882. Next. Longao successfully became the deputy hall chief of the Martial Artists Alliance. The whole Blackwater city was in an uproar because of this. Regarding Longao's identity, everyone was discussing spiritedly, wanting to figure it out. However, Longao's identity was like a mystery, no one knew. 3 days later. In Fire Beacon City, Lu Yun and Lu Fei's uncle, Lu Tianxi, arrived. As a great emperor, Lu Tianxi's status in the Martial Artists Alliance was not low. However, as soon as Lu Tianxi arrived in Fire Beacon City, he received a piece of news that his 2 nephews had been killed. Black Wolf. Lu Tianxi did not linger after receiving the news. He immediately got up and went to Blackwater City. His goal was to find Black Wolf and take revenge. Not only Lu Yun and Lu Fei's information was leaked, but Dongfang Liang's information was also leaked for unknown reasons. The target was Black Wolf. Wanzhan School in Fire Beacon City certainly did not have the ability to take revenge, but Wanzhan School in Blackwater City would not give up so easily. For a moment, Longao was in danger. In the sword sect in Fire Beacon City, Murong Yanger had received the news. Although she did not know who leaked the news, she knew that Longao's consequences would be unimaginable once the news spread out. Yanger, what do you want? Murong Guenar was helpless about his daughter, but in the end, he chose his daughter because Yanger had always been steady and would not make a losing deal. Father, I want to go to Blackwater City. You want to help Longao? Nodding, Murong Yanger took out the token and said, Father, Master gave me this token, but I have never used it. It seems that it will come in handy now. Since things had come to this point, Murong Guenar did not say much. Blackwater City. Longao did not feel happy about becoming the deputy hall chief of the Martial Artists Alliance. He only had one goal, which was to use the Martial Artists Alliance to meet Yu Yin. However, Longao knew very well that it was too difficult for him to enter the Martial Artists Alliance with his current status. For the entire Martial Artists Alliance, Blackwater City was only one of its branches, and a low-level one at that. Was he really going to join the Martial Artists Alliance step by step? If it was something else, Longao could wait. However, he couldn't wait any longer when it came to Yu Yin. He already knew that Yu Yin had many admirers in the Martial Artists Alliance, including Shapotian. Because of this, he really couldn't wait any longer. It was not equal, and it could not wait. In the Martial Artists Alliance, Longao went straight to the point and said, Hall Chief, I want to ask you for a favor. Huang Shan snorted in his heart, but said with a smile, Black Wolf, you are now the deputy hall chief of the Martial Artists Alliance. If you need anything, just say it. As long as I can do it, I will definitely do it. Hall Chief, I want to know what I can do to enter the Martial Artists Alliance. Huang Shan certainly knew what the Martial Artists Alliance that Black Wolf mentioned was. After all, although there were many branches in the Tianwu continent, there was only one real Martial Artists Alliance, which was one of the most powerful Martial Artists Alliance. After thinking for a while, Huang Shan's face became serious. He never thought that Black Wolf would want to enter the Martial Artists Alliance. Black Wolf, you should know what the Martial Artists Alliance means. It's not that hard to enter, but it's also not that hard. If you follow the normal channels, you have no chance at all. How could Longao not know about this? Longao didn't say anything. He knew that since Huang Shan said this, he must have a way. As expected. Hey Lang, I've already said that since you're my deputy hall master, I'll help you this time. To be honest, I don't have any way to send you into the Martial Artist Alliance. However, you're in luck. There's an opportunity right now. As long as you succeed, you'll be able to enter the Martial Artist Alliance. What is it? Longao was a little anxious. His main purpose in coming to Blackwater City was to enter the Martial Artists Alliance. But just as Huang Shan said, under normal circumstances, it was impossible for him to enter the Martial Artists Alliance. If he had the chance to enter the Martial Artists Alliance, it would be the best. Black Wolf, since you want to enter the Martial Artists Alliance, you should know something about the Martial Artists Alliance. Longao nodded. Regarding the Martial Art Alliance, Longao more or less had some understanding. The Martial Artists Alliance was one of the top 10 forces. In the Tianwu continent, the Martial Artists Alliance's strength and foundation were super strong. Moreover, the Martial Artists Alliance and the Long family were similar. The difference was that the Long family was divided into 9 levels, from level 9 to level 1. The Martial Artists Alliance didn't have levels, but it had countless branches. It was almost impossible for a low-level Martial Artists Alliance to enter the real Martial Artists Alliance. This was like the Long family, a rank 9 Long family, or a rank 8 Long family, wanting to enter the Long family. Was it possible? It was the same logic. Black Wolf, I won't hide it from you. In a month, the Martial Artists Alliance will hold an alliance competition. At that time, no matter which branch of the Martial Artists Alliance you are, you can send people into the Tianwu forest. The opportunity was here. Hallmaster, how can I enter the Martial Artists Alliance after entering the Tianwu forest? Longao knew that since Huang Shan said so, Blackwater City should have a quota. If that was the case, then he had to seize the opportunity. It's very simple. The quota will be decided based on the strength of the branches. With Blackwater City's strength, we can only send 5 people at most. After everyone enters the Tianwu forest, they have to fight for the Alliance flag. Only the person who wins the Alliance flag can enter the Martial Artists Alliance and become a disciple of the Martial Artists Alliance. Alliance flag. Longao knew that although Blackwater City only had 5 quotas, which seemed like a small number, there were countless branches of the Martial Artists Alliance in the entire Tianwu continent. If all the branches were added together, the number of people would definitely be a terrifying number. Black Wolf, you have to know that the Martial Artists Alliance will only hold 100 quotas for this alliance competition. Whether you can successfully enter the Martial Artists Alliance will depend on your luck. I can't help you. As he spoke, Huang Shan took out a badge and continued, Black Wolf, this is a badge. Only with it can you enter the Tianwu forest. Remember, after you enter the Tianwu forest, you have to be careful. Even if you get the Alliance flag, I believe that there will be a lot of people fighting for it. After taking the badge from Huang Shan, Longao knew that the alliance competition held by the Martial Artists Alliance would be very dangerous. After all, countless people would fight for 100 quotas. It was easy to imagine how intense it would be. Chapter 883. Longao had already left the Martial Artists Alliance. In the main hall, Huang Shan's face was cold and his body emitted a murderous aura. Hallmaster, Black Wolf is already a dead man. Why did you give him the alliance token? The 4 protectors couldn't understand. The news of Black Wolf killing Lu Yun and Lu Fei had already spread. If there were no accidents, Lu Yun and Lu Fei's uncle, Lu Tianxi, would definitely come to avenge them. If that was the case, why did the Hall Master give out a token? After all, the Martial Artists Alliance in Heishui City only had 5 spots. Even the 4 protectors were looking forward to entering the Martial Artists Alliance. Huang Shan sneered. Shaking his head, Huang Shan smiled and said, although the news has already spread, I don't want any accidents to happen. I think it's worth it to exchange a spot for his life. From Huang Shan's point of view, Black Wolf was just a scapegoat. He didn't want to cause any trouble, especially since the uncle of the 2 was an Emperor Realm martial artist. After leaving the Martial Artists Alliance, Longao was extremely excited. Longao didn't expect things to go so smoothly. Although the Alliance tournament was dangerous, it was the fastest way to enter the Martial Artists Alliance. As long as he could obtain the Alliance token, meeting Yu Yin wouldn't be a dream. The Alliance tournament. As for the location chosen by the Martial Arts Alliance, which was the so-called Sky Martial Forest, Longao more or less knew a little about it. The Tianwu forest was the largest forest for spiritual beasts in the Tianwu continent. It could be said to be heaven for spiritual beasts and hell for martial artists. Under normal circumstances, no one would be willing to enter the Tianwu forest. Longao found it hard to imagine that the Martial Artists Alliance would set the alliance tournament in the Tianwu forest. Despite knowing that there were tigers in the mountain, they still went there. Longao knew that Tianwu forest was filled with danger. Other than the danger from the Martial Artists Alliance, there was also the danger of Tianwu forest itself. Under these two dangers, it would not be easy for him to obtain the alliance flag. Clenching his fists tightly, Longao had already decided that no matter how dangerous the Sky Martial Forest was, he had to give it a try. The next day, Lu Tianxi arrived at Blackwater City. Not only that, the Wanzhan School in Blackwater City had also received the news that Black Wolf had killed Dongfang Liang. The master of the Wanzhan School, Du He, had brought 3 elders to the Martial Artists Alliance. His purpose was clear. Unlike the Martial Artists Alliance, the Wanzhan School in Blackwater City and Fire Beacon City did not scheme against each other. Knowing that Dongfang Liang had been killed, Du He was furious at once. After all, Black Wolf had killed Dongfang Liang in broad daylight. He did not take the Wanzhan School seriously at all. What's more, Black Wolf had defeated the Wanzhan School, which made Du He unhappy. How could Du He give up this opportunity so easily? In the huge front yard. Du He, you came to the Martial Artists Alliance in such a big way. Are you here to provoke us? The structure of Blackwater City and Fire Beacon City was almost the same. There were also 3 super forces in Blackwater City. They were the Sword Sect, the Martial Artists Alliance, and the Wanzhan School. The 3 super forces had always minded their own business. After all, they all knew that once they started a war, no one would benefit. That was exactly the case. Wanzhan School couldn't figure it out. Since Black Wolf had killed Dongfang Liang, why didn't the Martial Artists Alliance know about it? It would be fine if they didn't know, but what if they did? Once the Martial Artists Alliance knew about it, they would be in big trouble. Because the Martial Artists Alliance had protected Black Wolf by doing this. They did not take the Wanzhan School seriously at all. If Wanzhan School kept tolerating it, how could it save its face? His face was very ugly. Wanzhan School was provoked. As the master of Wanzhan School in Blackwater City, if he couldn't get back his face, he wouldn't be able to be the master anymore. Huang Shan, let's be frank. Black Wolf has become the deputy hall chief of your Martial Artists Alliance, and he killed Dongfang Liang from Wanzhan School. I'd like to ask, how should we settle this account? As expected. Huang Shan had already guessed the purpose of Du's visit, but he pretended to be very indifferent. Master Du, I believe you should know that Black Wolf has just become the deputy hall chief of my Martial Artists Alliance. As for before, I didn't know Black Wolf at all. Do you think I would know what you said? Of course, Du wouldn't believe Huang Shan's nonsense, but he didn't expose it. No matter what, he wouldn't completely fall out with the Martial Artists Alliance unless he had no other choice. Huang Shan, I'll pretend that you don't know that Black Wolf killed Dongfang Liang. I still want to ask, how will you explain it to Wanzhan School? Looking at the 4 people in front of him, Huang Shan suddenly smiled. When everyone was confused about the meaning of Huang Shan's smile, Huang Shan said, in Jianghu, it's either you kill me or I kill you. Although Black Wolf is the deputy hall chief of my Martial Artists Alliance, the grudge between them has nothing to do with us. You mean, the grudge between Dongfang Liang and Black Wolf has nothing to do with your Martial Artists Alliance? Exactly. Well, Huang Shan, I like you. Remember what you said now. Don't wait until Black Wolf is dead, and then you'll come to make trouble for me. Waving his hand, Huang Shan raised his eyebrows and said, Black Wolf killed Dongfang Liang, and you came to avenge Dongfang Liang. Later, when you kill Black Wolf, I'll naturally come to avenge Wanzhan School. What do you think? Huang Shan's meaning was very simple. He wouldn't care much about the grudge between Black Wolf and Dongfang Liang. But if Wanzhan School killed Black Wolf, the Martial Artists Alliance wouldn't stand by and do nothing. He knew very well that although Wanjian School wasn't afraid of the Martial Artists Alliance, it wasn't a good thing for Wanjian School to fall out with the Martial Artists Alliance for a little black wolf. Anyway, in Blackwater City, the Sword Sect was eyeing covetously. If the Martial Artists Alliance and Wanjian School fought to the death, the Sword Sect would be able to take advantage of it. Again, he wouldn't fall out with the Martial Artists Alliance unless it was absolutely necessary. His face gradually became gloomy. For a moment, neither of them spoke. They looked at each other. It seemed that a war would break out at any moment. But people with discerning eyes could see that neither the Martial Artists Alliance nor Wanjian School would make a move easily. The three major forces in Blackwater City, the Sword Sect, Wanjian School, and the Martial Artists Alliance, had always been in harmony and restrained each other. Of course, the two forces wouldn't let the Sword Sect take advantage of them easily. "Master, Black Wolf is here. Black Wolf is here." Hearing the elder's words, not only Du He, but also Huang Shan and the others looked at the figure coming from afar. It was a teenager with a cold face and blood-red hair, giving people a feeling of dominance and wildness. Chapter 884. The young man was none other than Longao, who had just arrived. Regarding the 10,000 array sect, Longao was very clear in his heart that this matter must be resolved. Until now, Longao still could not figure out who had leaked the news that he had killed Dongfang Liang. Not only that, but he had also received news that the news of him killing Lu Yun and Lu Fei had also been leaked. Who could it be? Are you Black Wolf? What does that have to do with you? Longao's arrogance made everyone's face freeze. No one had thought that Black Wolf would be so bold as to speak to Du He like that. Du He, as the master of Wanjian School, had one of the highest positions in Blackwater City. Not to mention Black Wolf, even Huang Shan did not dare to speak to Du He like that. Black Wolf. Longao waved his hand and said with a smile, "Hallmaster, this is between me and Wanjian School. It has nothing to do with the Martial Artists Alliance." Huang Shan seemed to want to say something, but in the end, he did not say anything. Looking at the young man in front of him, Du He suddenly looked up to the sky and laughed wildly. He had never seen such an arrogant person in all these years. With a cold laugh, Du He said coldly, "Hey Lang, I have to admit that you are really brave. However, one must know one's limits. Otherwise, you won't even know how you died." Before Longao could speak, Du He asked, "So you admit that you killed Dongfang Liang? Since you have already determined that I killed Dongfang Liang, what does it matter if I admit it or not?" Longao was more or less afraid of Du He. This was not because of the strength of Du He and the other three. Instead, it was because of Du He and the other three's attainments in formations. No matter what, Du He and the other three were only Saint Kings. Even if it was 1 against 4, Longao was confident that he could defeat them. He knew very well that Blackwater City's Wanjian School wasn't an existence that Fire Beacon City's Wanjian School could compare to. No one knew the attainments of Du He and the other three in the art of formations. The more mysterious something was, the stronger it was. Du He laughed, and so did the three elders behind him. "Master Du, I can ignore the grudge between you and Black Wolf, but I still have to tell you that Black Wolf is now the Vice Hall Master of the Martial Artists Alliance." How could Du He not know what Huang Shan meant? But things had already come to this point. Du He knew that if he didn't kill Black Wolf, not only him, but even Wanjian School would lose face. Moreover, if the higher-ups found out about this, he would have to bear the consequences. Kill. In the end, Du He still gave the order. Hearing Du He's order, Huang Shan was overjoyed. As long as Black Wolf died, his plan to kill someone with a borrowed knife would be considered a success. However, Huang Shan's face was expressionless. He wouldn't let anyone see that he wanted Black Wolf dead. In the blink of an eye, the three people behind Du He had already rushed out. Wanjian School had already inquired about Black Wolf's situation. Black Wolf could defeat Dongfang Shuo and break the Ancestral Swords array. No one would believe that Black Wolf didn't have the ability. As for Black Wolf's ability, Wanjian School confirmed that he should be in the illusionary divine stage. As for which stage he was in, no one knew. As a precaution, the three of them immediately set up the tripartite array. With 3 against 1, the power of the array would be doubled instantly. The three of them began to spin. After a while, their figures could no longer be seen. Like a whirlwind, they instantly enveloped Longao. Looking coldly at the surrounding wind shadows, Longao looked on coldly. Longao had seen the tripartite array set up by the three of them in the Burning Skies array. Among all the arrays, although the tripartite array was simple to set up, its power was not to be underestimated. Because of this, Longao didn't dare to be careless. Breaking an array with an array. Longao was very clear that under normal circumstances, it wouldn't be easy to break the tripartite array. After all, the three of them were sage emperors. The tripartite array set up by the 3 sage emperors was very powerful. An ordinary sage emperor martial artist wouldn't be able to escape. But don't forget that Longao was a formation master, an exalted level formation master. As for the 3 sage kings, in terms of formations, not a single one of them was a match for Longao. Others might not know, but that didn't mean Longao didn't know. Longao hadn't completely comprehended the Burning Skies array. After all, the Burning Skies array had over 10,000 arrays. Up until now, he had comprehended less than 100 arrays at most. Among them, there were arrays to deal with the tripartite array. The 12 arrays of heaven and earth were the 1 origin, 2 chi, 3 talents, 4 absolutes, 5 elements, 6 lights, 7 stars, 8 trigrams, 9 palaces, 10 absolutes, 36 heavenly spirits, and 72 earthly fiends. If he wanted to break the tripartite array as quickly as possible, he could only choose the 1 origin array from the 12 arrays with his own strength. The 1 origin array against the tripartite array. In his opinion, no matter how great Black Wolf's mastery of arrays was, it would be difficult for him to break through the tripartite array by himself. Even Huang Shan was very happy. This move of using someone else to do his dirty work had basically succeeded. Now, the only thing left was to wait for Black Wolf to be killed by the tripartite array. Before Huang Shan and he could think that Black Wolf was dead for sure. In just a few minutes. With a loud bang, the 3 elders of the Wanzhan school were all sent flying in front of everyone's shocked eyes. They made the most intimate contact with the ground. Dead. Dead in just a few minutes. Looking at the 3 corpses on the ground, everyone was dumbfounded. Because everyone knew very well that since Black Wolf could break through the array and kill the 3 of them so easily, he should be a sage emperor at the very least. Not only that, but Black Wolf's mastery of arrays was also very high. He was shocked. Of course, he knew the array and strength of the 3 sage emperor elders very well. If the 3 elders couldn't kill Black Wolf together, then even he wouldn't be a match for Black Wolf. Who was He Lang? Since when did the Martial Art Alliance have such a powerful warrior? Moreover, he was also a powerful array master. Black Wolf, you dare to kill my 3 elders? Looking at he in disdain, Longao laughed and said, "What a joke. Who set this rule? Only your people are allowed to kill me, but I'm not allowed to kill them. Do you think you have 3 heads? What a fool." If it was before, he would have attacked in anger. But now, he didn't dare to attack. The reason was very simple. Black Wolf's strength had already deeply shocked him. Black Wolf, return the lives of my 2 nephews. At this moment, a terrifying roar resounded. Before anyone could react, a whirlwind had already swept over. P.S. Tomorrow, we will have 10 chapters. If you have tickets, please buy some. Chapter 885. Looking at the sudden tornado, Longao was also startled. Longao could clearly sense that the opponent was a great emperor, even though he was only a crimson great emperor. The 10 realms of great emperors were divided into the crimson great emperor realm, orange great emperor realm, yellow great emperor realm, green great emperor realm, cyan great emperor realm, blue great emperor realm, purple great emperor realm, black great emperor realm, white great emperor realm, and gold great emperor realm. Above the 10 realms of great emperors were the strongest titled great emperors. Although Longao was confident in his own strength, he knew his own limits. With his current strength, he was no match for a great Emperor realm cultivator. Because of this, Longao didn't dare to be careless. He immediately teleported away. Just as he left, Lu Tianxi's figure appeared in the blink of an eye and slammed his palm down. The palm hit nothing but air. Lu Tianxi was shocked because he never thought that he couldn't kill a Saint Emperor realm cultivator with a single move. If he didn't experience it himself, he wouldn't believe it even if he was beaten to death. He stood coldly on the spot and scanned his surroundings, but didn't find his target. Where is he? At this moment, Longao's figure suddenly appeared, but he wasn't standing beside Huang Shan. Senior Lu. Seeing the sudden appearance of Lu Tianxi, both Huang Shan and Du He were elated. This was because Lu Tianxi was a Crimson Great Emperor. If he wanted to kill He Lang, it would be a piece of cake. Black Wolf, you killed 2 of my nephews. You really don't know what's good for you. Longao ignored Lu Tianxi and ignored him. Before Lu Tianxi could get angry, Longao suddenly turned his head and looked at the barren mountain in front of him. He said, "Your plan worked. First, you invited me to kill Lu Yun and Lu Fei, then spread the news. This move of killing 2 birds with 1 stone is indeed perfect. I have to admire it. Black Wolf, what nonsense are you talking about?" Huang Shan was shocked when he heard Black Wolf's words. He never thought that Black Wolf would know about this. After all, no one had leaked this information. Huang Shan knew very well that if Lu Tianxi believed Black Wolf's words, the consequences would be unimaginable. With Lu Tianxi's status and strength, as long as it wasn't the Martial Artists Alliance that destroyed Blackwater City, no one would blame them even if they killed him. Longao smiled. Apart from you and me, no one else knows that I killed Lu Yun and Lu Fei. Apart from you, it is very difficult for me to think of anyone who leaked this matter. Lu Tianxi didn't say anything because his intuition told him that things weren't that simple. Without giving Huang Shan any chance to speak, Longao continued, "I have no enmity with Lu Yun and it was thanks to them that I was able to come to Blackwater City this time." The more Longao acted like this, the more Lu Tianxi believed him. The more Lu Tianxi believed, the more gloomy Huang Shan's face became. If this matter was leaked, he wouldn't be able to keep his life. You were the one who told me that as long as I killed the 2 of them, I could become the Vice Hall Master of the Martial Artists Alliance. I didn't expect that after I did it, you would betray me. Longao's face was filled with disdain and contempt because he had already guessed that the person who leaked this matter was Huang Shan. It was still the same sentence. Other than himself, only Huang Shan and the other 4 from the Martial Artists Alliance knew about this matter. If it wasn't Huang Shan, he wouldn't believe it even if he was beaten to death. As for this matter, he had already guessed it when he received the news. However, Longao didn't act rashly and alert the enemy because he knew that the Wanjian school wanted to deal with him. Unless it was absolutely necessary, he didn't want to have another enemy. However, the situation now was completely different. Lu Tianxi, the uncle of the 2, a Crimson Great Emperor, was here. Was he really going to become a scapegoat? Longao wasn't that stupid. Even if he was unlucky, he had to drag Huang Shan and the others down with him. Huang Shan, so it was you who caused trouble. Good, very good. Lu Tianxi sneered. In all these years, Huang Shan had always been obedient to him. He had never thought that it was Huang Shan who had killed his 2 nephews. It would be a lie to say that he wasn't angry. From Lu Tianxi's point of view, not only did he lose his 2 nephews, someone even betrayed him. This was something that he couldn't accept. Senior Lu, listen to me. Don't believe Black Wolf's words. He only wants to divide us. How could I hurt your 2 nephews? Huang Shan, do you think I'll believe your words? At this moment, Longao shook his head helplessly and said, I know why Huang Shan did this. Black Wolf, you mother ***. I have no enmity with you. Why do you want to harm me? I let you become the Vice Hall Master of the Martial Artists Alliance. How could you repay my kindness with enmity? Are you even human? Lu Tianxi looked at Longao with interest. He also wanted to know why Huang Shan chose to betray him. He ignored Huang Shan. If I'm not wrong, Huang Shan, You've been unwilling to accept Lu Tianxi's suppression all these years. Even Lu Yun and Lu Fei can ride on your head. If you don't have other thoughts, I won't believe it even if you beat me to death." Huang Shan breathed heavily. At this moment, Huang Shan was furious to the extreme. "Black Wolf, you're courting death." Huang Shan wasn't a fool. If he allowed Black Wolf to continue, he would die without a doubt. Lu Tianxi wasn't a kind person. Moreover, Lu Tianxi was starting to believe Black Wolf's words. Therefore, the only way now was to kill Black Wolf no matter what and make him shut up. However, before Huang Shan could speak, a terrifying aura had already surrounded Longao. Huang Shan was so scared that he didn't dare to move. "Huang Shan, I'm very interested to hear what Black Wolf has to say. You better stand still. Otherwise, I'll kill you directly." Hearing Lu Tianxi's words, Huang Shan's face became even more gloomy. However, Lu Tianxi's strength was obvious. Huang Shan knew that if he dared to move, he would definitely die. It could be seen that Huang Shan was afraid of Lu Tianxi. He really kept his mouth shut. "Black Wolf, you can start now. However, I can tell you clearly that no matter what you say, you're still a murderer. Therefore, I'll take your life later. Do you understand?" Lu Tianxi spoke in a negotiating tone, but everyone around knew that Lu Tianxi was already filled with killing intent. It was just that he had suddenly killed 2 birds with 1 stone and borrowed a knife to kill someone. Otherwise, Lu Tianxi would have already gone crazy. Longao shrugged helplessly as if he didn't take Lu Tianxi's threat to heart. He said, "I have nothing to say. I believe that as long as you're not a fool, you should know what happened." Chapter 886. Longao's words showed that he did not put Lu Tianxi in his eyes. If Longao was a great emperor, others would think that he had the ability to do so. However, the problem now was that Longao was only a saint emperor, yet he dared to provoke a great emperor. In everyone's eyes, he was simply courting death. However, Lu Tianxi was not angry at all. Looking at Huang Shan, Lu Tianxi asked, "Huang Shan, do you have anything to say?" Staring at Longao, then at Lu Tianxi, Huang Shan sighed deeply in his heart. Being stared at by a crimson great emperor, Huang Shan felt a deep sense of helplessness. He never thought that he would be tricked by Black Wolf. However, since things had already developed to this point, Huang Shan knew that it was useless for him to say anything more, because Lu Tianxi already believed Black Wolf's words. "Lu Tianxi, for so many years, the 2 of them have been relying on you to suppress me. I really want to ask, they are just a branch of Fire Beacon City, how can they ride on my head?" Lu Tianxi did not speak. Seeing that Lu Tianxi did not speak, Huang Shan seemed to have disregarded life and death. "Black Wolf is right. I was the one who asked him to kill Lu Yun and Lu Fei. I don't regret it at all." Lu Tianxi still did not speak. "Lu Tianxi, so what if I killed Lu Yun and Lu Fei? According to the rules of the Martial Artists Alliance, as long as I didn't do it personally." Before Huang Shan could finish his words, Lu Tianxi's figure had already moved. The 10 realms of Great Emperor, red, orange, yellow, green, cyan, blue, and violet, were all differentiated by the color of the rainbow. In other words, when one's cultivation broke through the Crimson Great Emperor realm, one's strength would become the color of the Crimson Great Emperor. Lu Tianxi's strength was there for all to see. Huang Shan was only a saint emperor, he did not even have the chance to resist and was instantly killed by Lu Tianxi. Lu Tianxi did not let anger get to his head. Although he had killed Huang Shan, he did not continue to kill him. "Why don't you destroy the Martial Artists Alliance? It's your turn." Of course, Lu Tianxi wouldn't be fooled. He knew that once he killed the 4 elders, the situation would change. At that time, even he would be in big trouble. This time, he had killed Huang Shan, so he had a good reason to respond to the higher-ups. However, if he killed the 4 elders of the branch, then he would be harming his own fellow disciples. Once the higher-ups found out and investigated, the consequences would be unimaginable. Lu Tianxi and Huang Shan were both members of the Martial Artists Alliance, but they belonged to a higher-level Martial Artists Alliance. Just by himself? Hearing Black Wolf's words, Lu Tianxi seemed to be in a daze. Then, Lu Tianxi laughed as if he had heard the funniest thing in the world. Someone actually dared to say that in front of him? Lu Tianxi was very confident in his own strength. A Crimson Emperor was invincible among the illusionary divine stage martial artists. Not to mention a mere Sage Emperor, he could even kill a peak Sage Emperor easily. It was because of this that Lu Tianxi didn't take his opponent seriously. Black Wolf, I admire your courage. Since that's the case, I'll give you a chance. Give your ass. Longao couldn't be bothered to listen to Black Wolf's nonsense and swung his sword. The deity-slaying sword in his hand instantly executed the deity-slaying technique and combined it with the Emperor Dragon's 9 kills. Dragon roars could be heard one after another. 9 dragon roars intersected and layered on top of each other. The dragon roars turned into sword chi. This sword was earth-shattering. Even Lu Tianxi didn't expect that a mere Sage Emperor would be able to execute such a terrifying sword chi. Lu Tianxi asked himself, if he wasn't a great emperor but an illusionary divine stage martial artist, would he be able to block this sword? Although Longao's sword was earth-shattering, the difference in their cultivation levels was something that even the deity-slaying sword and the Emperor Dragon's 9 kills couldn't make up for. Moreover, although the deity-slaying sword had devoured the 9-headed Emperor Dragon, it wasn't easy for it to merge with the 9-headed Emperor Dragon. Otherwise, if the deity-slaying sword had really merged with the 9-headed Emperor Dragon, it wouldn't be so simple even if Lu Tianxi could block it. He resolved the sword chi, but right at this time, Longao had already disappeared without a trace. Lu Tianxi looked coldly in front of him. He didn't know how Black Wolf did it and how Black Wolf was able to disappear from his sight twice. Lu Tianxi's expression was ugly. He was so angry that he was like a volcano that was about to erupt. Black Wolf, no matter where you run to, I'll tear you into pieces. Senior Lu, I know where Black Wolf went. Speak. Lu Tianxi was pleasantly surprised that the 4 elders knew where Black Wolf went. Because this time, not only did he fail to take revenge, but he also lost face. If he couldn't kill Black Wolf, how could he walk in the Jianghu in the future? Senior Lu, Black Wolf joined the Martial Artists Alliance this time mainly to join the real Martial Artists Alliance. Get to the point. Lu Tianxi was shocked. Senior Lu, before you came, Huang Shan gave Black Wolf an alliance token. If there are no accidents, Black Wolf will participate in the alliance competition and enter Sky Martial Forest in a month. The 4 elders didn't continue, but the meaning in their words was very clear. Very good. Lu Tianxi thought for a while and finally said, Huang Shan's death was his own fault. If the higher-ups ask, I believe you all know what to say. Senior Lu, don't worry. We know what to do. Lu Tianxi was very satisfied and said, the 4 of you will be in charge of the branches for now. I'll report to the higher-ups later. As for the position of Hall Master, it will be chosen from the 4 of you. Hearing this, the 4 elders were overjoyed. Lu Tianxi left, but not long after he left, Longao's figure reappeared. Longao didn't immediately leave. He only used the dragon seal space to temporarily avoid Lu Tianxi. Seeing Black Wolf suddenly reappear, the 4 elders were shocked. Longao originally didn't want to kill them all. After all, this matter had nothing to do with them. But just now, the 4 elders revealed his matter. Longao was very clear that Lu Tianxi knew that he was about to enter the Sky Martial Forest and participate in the alliance tournament. He definitely wouldn't let him off. Lu Tianxi had brought him so much trouble for no reason. If Longao wasn't angry, then he would be lying. Black Wolf. You're courting death. Xiu wants to blame me. Longao never showed any mercy to his enemies. The reason was very simple. He always had a principle. Being merciful to your enemies is the cruelest to yourself. If he was ruthless and took the opportunity to kill the 4 elders, then the matter of him participating in the alliance competition wouldn't have been revealed to Lu Tianxi. P.S. Staying up late is a very painful thing. I hope everyone can give me some tickets. Please. Chapter 887. Not giving the four elders the slightest chance, Longao's body moved. With Longao's strength, killing the four of them was a piece of cake. However, Longao didn't kill them all. Although he killed the four elders, he didn't destroy the branch of the Martial Artists Alliance. At this point, Longao didn't care anymore. After all, the feud between him and Lu Tianzi had reached a point of life and death. He believed that not only Lu Tianzi, but the branch of the Martial Artists Alliance would also deal with him. After dealing with the Martial Artists Alliance, Longao still didn't leave Wanzhan School. After killing the three protectors, Longao certainly wouldn't leave Duhe alone. However, before Longao could do anything, Duhe was already gone. He shrugged helplessly. It seemed that he wasn't cruel enough. Otherwise, things wouldn't have turned out this way. The most dangerous place was the safest place. Longao chose to stay in Blackwater City. Although Lu Tianzi had leaked the information, he would still choose to enter the Sky Martial Forest and participate in the Martial Artists Alliance competition. Longao knew clearly that the Martial Artists Alliance competition was the only way to enter the Martial Artists Alliance as soon as possible. The Martial Artists Alliance, as one of the 10 forces, had countless branches. It was almost impossible to enter the Martial Artists Alliance through normal channels, unless his cultivation reached the Divine Path realm. In Blackwater City, Longao found the most luxurious inn and stayed for the time being. In the room, Longao sat quietly on the bed. He first cultivated for a while, then he started to think about what to do next. He would definitely go to the Sky Martial Forest. As for the Supreme Divine Path inheritance, who should inherit it? The 5 divine paths were divided into the Empty God Realm, the Spirit Focus Realm, the Man God Realm, the Earth God Realm, and the Heaven God Realm. Longao didn't know that there was a Supreme Divine Path Realm above the Divine Path Realm, which was the so-called Divine King Realm. Longao was very clear that he would definitely not accept the so-called Supreme Divine Tao inheritance. If he wanted to inherit the inheritance, there was no need to wait until now. He had countless opportunities. Murong Yanga was not willing to inherit, so she gave him a chance. Who should I give it to? After thinking about it, Longao still couldn't think of a suitable candidate. In the Dragon Seal space. After being summoned by Long Fu, Longao was very curious. He asked directly, Long Fu, why are you looking for me this time? Nodding his head, Long Fu said, Master, have you found the person who obtained the Supreme Divine Tao inheritance? With a thought, Longao instantly understood what Long Fu meant. If it was someone else, Longao might not necessarily give it to him. However, Long Fu was different. No matter what, the inheritance in his hand was left behind by a Supreme Divine Tao expert. Once he received the inheritance, even if he couldn't reach the Supreme Divine Tao, he believed that it wouldn't be too bad. Long Fu, you want this inheritance? Smiling, Long Fu said without the slightest trace of politeness, that's right. Master, I believe you should know that 99% of the Dragon Seal's power is used to suppress the blood pool. When the Dragon Seal suppressed the blood pool back then, it was already heavily injured and still hasn't recovered. After thinking about it, Long Fu continued, if Master is willing, I hope you can let the Dragon Seal absorb this inheritance. Regarding the Long Fu and the Dragon Seal, Longao naturally wouldn't be unwilling to part with it. However, he more or less muttered in his heart. He was very clear about what a Supreme Divine Tao meant. If he let the Dragon Seal absorb it like this, it would be better to directly create a Divine King. However, since Long Fu had already spoken, Longao naturally wouldn't refuse. He took out the Supreme Divine Tao inheritance and said, Long Fu, if the Dragon Seal absorbs the Supreme Divine Tao inheritance, how much strength can it recover? The degree of recovery of the Dragon Seal was what Longao was most concerned about. This was because even if he hadn't seen the Dragon Seal's power with his own eyes, he could completely imagine it. Previously, when he was devoured by the blood pool, Longao personally felt the terrifying power of the blood pool. If the blood pool could recover to its peak power and reappear in the world, it wouldn't be a problem even if it destroyed the entire continent. For the Dragon Seal to be able to suppress and seal such a terrifying blood pool, One could imagine how terrifying the dragon seal's strength was. Master, I know what you're thinking, but there's no other way. The dragon seal needs too much power. The supreme divine Tao inheritance can only be considered as a cup of water on a burning cart of firewood. Now, it's just a little bit of recovery. As expected. With regards to what Long Fu said, Longao wasn't surprised at all. This was because Longao was very clear that if the dragon seal could recover so easily, it would have recovered long ago. There was no need to wait until now. A cup of water on a burning cart of firewood. No matter what, even if he didn't agree in his heart, Longao still chose to give the inheritance to Long Fu. He didn't continue to worry about the inheritance. Long Fu, I just wanted to ask you, the God-punishing sword has already devoured the 9-headed emperor dragon. Why is its power still like this and hasn't increased in the slightest? Regarding the God-punishing sword, Longao was extremely annoyed. According to what Long Fu and Bai Ling said before, once the God-punishing sword devoured the 9-headed emperor dragon, its power would increase by at least 10 times. But now, the God-punishing sword didn't increase its power in the slightest. Only when he used the emperor dragon 9 kills, the power was still okay. But Longao was very clear that if the power of the God-punishing sword could be increased, not to mention 10 times, even 3 times, 5 times, once he used the emperor dragon 9 kills, he believed that the power couldn't be underestimated. Master, although the God-punishing sword has already devoured the blood essence, power, and soul of the 9-headed emperor dragon, it's not an easy task to completely refine and integrate. In any case, the power of the God-punishing sword has been sealed. The current God-punishing sword is almost no different from an ordinary sword. Hearing this, Longao became more and more depressed. If that was the case, wasn't he a little crazy? Why did he provoke the 9-headed emperor dragon? Back then, he risked his life. If he was a little careless, he could lose his life at any time. In the end, it was all for nothing. Just as Long Fu said, although the God-punishing sword had devoured everything of the 9-headed emperor dragon, it wasn't an easy task to completely refine and integrate it. In other words, it was still unknown when the God-punishing sword would completely refine and integrate with the 9-headed emperor dragon. Maybe a day or two, maybe a month or two, maybe a year or two, or even 8 or 10 years. If it really came to that, what was the point of refining and integrating the God-punishing sword? This time, when the God-punishing sword was sealed, Longao and Long Fu had roughly calculated. As long as his strength was enough to control the God-punishing sword, then it would be the time to break the seal. At that time, even if the God-punishing sword didn't integrate, its power would be enough to pierce through heaven and earth. Chapter 888. Longao didn't want to continue to dwell on this issue. Just pretend that the God-punishing sword had never swallowed the 9-headed dragon. Just as Longao was about to leave the dragon seal space, Long Fu called out to him. Very curious, Longao asked, Long Fu, is there anything else? Longao was very depressed. Long Fu clearly knew that he was in a bad mood, so why didn't he finish the matter in one go? Long Fu seemed to ignore Longao's agitation and said, Master, I know what you're thinking, but I can't do anything because I'm no longer the weapon spirit of the peak. There are many things that I can't do. He nodded. Of course, Longao could understand Long Fu's helplessness. If the Long Fu was still at its peak, he believed that Long Fu's strength was omnipotent. Unfortunately, in order to seal the blood pool, the dragon seal was seriously injured, and even Long Fu suffered. Who asked Long Fu to be the weapon spirit of the dragon seal? This point could not be changed at any time. Master, you're in a very dangerous situation now. Long Fu, what are you trying to say? Longao wasn't a fool. Of course, he knew that Long Fu's words had a hidden meaning. It was precisely because of this that he became even more curious. He didn't know what Long Fu was up to. After all, this wasn't like Long Fu's character. Master, it's almost impossible to rely on the God-punishing sword to refine and integrate with the 9-headed dragon. Longao didn't speak. He was waiting for Long Fu to continue. So, Master, The God-punishing sword must rely on external forces to refine and integrate with the nine-headed dragon. And this external force is Bai Ling. Long Fu didn't finish his sentence, but Longao already understood what Long Fu meant. He wanted to borrow Bai Ling's power to help Godslayer completely refine and merge with the nine-headed Emperor Dragon. As for the reason, it was very simple. It was because Bai Ling was a sword spirit. He did as he said. Longao was well aware of how much help the Godslayer sword was to him. Just as Long Fu had said, his current situation was very dangerous. In the 9 provinces, Saint Kings were definitely supreme existences. But in the Tianwu continent, Saint Kings were just a joke because any random expert could easily kill a Saint King. If the power of the God-slaying sword could increase by 10 times and use the Emperor Dragon's 9 fatal slashes, then to him, it would undoubtedly be the best gift. If he wanted to increase the power of the Godslayer sword, there was only one thing he needed to do now, and that was to borrow Bai Ling's power to help the Godslayer sword refine and fuse with it as quickly as possible. He took out the Godslayer sword. Without waiting for Longao to open his mouth, Bai Ling turned into a cloud of white mist and already appeared in front of him. "Young Master Long, you want me to help the Godslayer sword refine the nine-headed Emperor Dragon?" Since things had already reached this point, Longao naturally wouldn't hide anything. Nodding, Longao got straight to the point. "Bai Ling, I believe you understand my situation. To tell you the truth, I really need the help of the Godslayer sword. Just relying on the sword's own power to refine and merge with the nine-headed Emperor Dragon is very difficult, very difficult." Before Bai Ling could say anything, Longao continued, "The Godslayer sword has already been sealed by me. Unless I have the power to control it, I won't undo the seal." "I understand." Bai Ling was still so kind, no matter the situation. "Young Master Long, to tell you the truth, if I were at my peak, it wouldn't be difficult to help the Godslayer sword refine the nine-headed Emperor Dragon." Seemingly apologetic, Bai Ling continued, "But back then, my sister and I encountered bad people. Both of us were seriously injured, and we haven't recovered yet." Although Bai Ling didn't finish her words, the meaning in her words was already very clear. Longao also sighed deeply. Since Bai Ling had already said so much, what else could he say? If others had said so, Longao might not have believed them. But since Bai Ling said so, he chose to believe her 100%, because he believed that such a kind person would never lie to him. "Bai Ling, I want to ask you, is there any other way to speed up the refining and devouring of the nine-headed Emperor Dragon?" Longao attached great importance to the Godslayer sword, even if he knew that the chances were slim. Bai Ling sighed and said, "If my sister was here, with her power, I believe that she would be able to help the Godslayer sword completely refine the nine-headed Emperor Dragon in less than a day." Xiling. Longao naturally knew who the sister Bai Ling was referring to was. Xiling would help him. Regardless of whether others believed it or not, he wouldn't believe it. Longao wished that Xiling would never appear in this life, because he knew very well that once Xiling appeared, there would only be one purpose, and that was to kill him. "Young Master Long, I have a way to speed up the refining of the nine-headed Emperor Dragon. Speak." Hearing that Bai Ling had a way, Longao's heart was immediately filled with joy. Bai Ling thought for a moment, then said, "Young Master Long, the Godslayer sword is the most powerful overgod weapon in the world. If my guess is correct, the Godslayer sword itself has already been damaged. Otherwise, with your power, it seems that sealing the Godslayer sword would still be a little difficult." Longao smiled, indicating that he admitted it. Bai Ling's words were pretty good, because with his power, it was impossible for him to seal the Godslayer sword. There was only one reason, and that was that the Godslayer sword was already severely injured. Regarding the matter of the God-exterminating sword, Longao naturally had some understanding. The Godslayer sword and the blood pool were one, and they reinforced and restrained each other. They were both enemies and friends. Back then, the blood pool had harmed the world, and the dragon seal had forcefully sealed it. Not only the blood pool, but even the Godslayer sword was severely injured. As for whether the Godslayer sword's injury was because of the dragon seal, that was unknown. It was also because of this that Longao was looking forward to the Godslayer sword returning to its peak power. Longao did not know what Bai Ling meant by this, because he knew very well that with Bai Ling's kindness, she would definitely not use such words to attack him. Since that was the case, what did Bai Ling mean? Young Master Long, my meaning is very simple. If you want the Godslayer sword to refine the nine-headed royal dragon and fuse with it, there is only one way, and that is for you to try to communicate with the Godslayer sword, and then help the Godslayer sword to refine the nine-headed royal dragon. Can I really do that? Of course, Longao knew clearly about the method that Bai Ling was talking about. But could he really do it? If he could communicate with the Godslayer sword and become one with it, then there would be no need to refine the nine-headed royal dragon. He could directly undo the seal and control the Godslayer sword. After all, the original power of the Godslayer sword, even if it had not recovered, was not something that the nine-headed royal dragon could compare to. Therefore, Longao had no confidence that he could do it. Chapter 889. After thinking about it, Longao decided to give it a try in the end. Looking at the god-slaying sword on the table, Longao took a deep breath. Then, Longao released his soul power and quickly entered the god-slaying sword. In fact, Longao was very clear that it was almost impossible to truly merge with the god-slaying sword. If it was that simple, the god-slaying sword wouldn't be the god-slaying sword. However, he was very clear about Bai Ling's intention. No matter what, the god-slaying sword was already sealed. As long as he merged with the current god-slaying sword, he could help the god-slaying sword refine and merge with the nine-headed royal dragon. 3 days later, Longao left Blackwater City and headed towards the so-called Sky Marshal Forest. Longao, who was constantly rushing, was shocked because he always had a feeling that he was enveloped by a faintly discernible aura. Who could it be? Who are you? Since you're here, don't be sneaky. Brother Long, in such a short time, don't tell me you don't recognize me. Looking at Shapotian who suddenly appeared, Longao was also shocked because he could feel a strong aura from Shapotian's body. It seemed to be the aura of the Supreme Tao. Although Shapotian had already concealed this aura, Longao could still sense it clearly. Longao vaguely remembered that the last time he saw Shapotian, he was only a titled Great Emperor. In such a short time, Shapotian had already successfully broken through to the Supreme Tao realm. One could imagine how terrifying Shapotian's talent and cultivation speed were. 5 realms of the Supreme Tao realm, Shapotian's cultivation didn't seem to be at the Void God realm. It would be a lie to say that he wasn't shocked. However, Longao didn't continue to dwell on this issue, nor did he have the slightest envy. Until now, he still didn't know whether Shapotian was an enemy or a friend. However, there was a relationship that Longao could almost be sure of, that was that he and Shapotian were definitely rivals in love. Previously, Shapotian had already admitted that he liked Yu Yin. So, it's brother Sha. How did you know I was here? I was just lucky. When you entered the Martial Heaven continent, you caused a ruckus in the Black Wind Valley and the Clear Sky sect. Then, you were chased out by your Long family. I've been looking for you ever since. I just happened to be passing by and ran into you. Was that really the case? For some reason, Longao just didn't believe what Shapotian said. Senior brother, are you looking for me? Nodding his head, Shapotian pointed at 2 huge rocks on the side. Then, the 2 of them sat down. Brother Long, I know why you've come to the Martial Heaven continent. I can tell you some good news. Yu Yin entered the Land of Darkness and came out without a hitch. Furthermore, her cultivation base has already broken through to the titled Great Emperor realm. She's preparing to advance to the Divine realm. Yu Yin was safe. Hearing the news brought by Shapotian, Longao was pleasantly surprised. Because for so many years, there was only one person he felt guilty towards, and that was Yu Yin. This girl who had protected him for 10 years and didn't hesitate to give up her beauty. He only had one wish, and that was to find Yu Yin at all costs. Many thanks, brother Sha. Waving his hand, Shapotian smiled and said, You don't need to thank me. I've already said that I also like Yu Yin very much. However, my liking is the same as yours. It's not because of her physique, but because I truly like her. As for whether Shapotian really liked Yu Yin, Longao didn't want to know. Because he only knew one thing, and that was that Yu Yin would always belong to him. Brother Sure, you can't have Yu Yin. She belongs to me alone. There wasn't the slightest bit of anger. Shapotian nodded and said, I hope you can do it. I believe that Yu Yin will soon reach the divine realm. At that time, geniuses from all over the world will gather at the Martial Artists Alliance. I hope you can hurry up. Hearing Shapotian's words, Longao's heart skipped a beat. Did Shapotian know that he was going to participate in the Martial Artists Alliance competition? Brother Long, I admire your courage and perseverance. I hope you won't let me down. I won't. Shapotian smiled. For a moment, the two of them fell into silence. Neither of them continued to talk. Time passed little by little. Brother Long, I want to give you a piece of advice. Don't make too many enemies. Don't overdo it. Shapotian was a member of the Wan Shou sect. Although Shapotian didn't say much, Longao was almost certain that Shapotian had a high status in the Wan Shou sect. Shapotian was very talented, but if he didn't have the full support of the Wan Shou sect, would it be possible for him to reach the divine realm in such a short time? Longao didn't say anything because he didn't know what to say. Some things were beyond one's control. For example, he didn't want to cause trouble for the Clear Sky sect and the Black Wind Valley. However, he couldn't just sit there and let the Clear Sky sect and the Black Wind Valley kill him. As for the Fire Beacon City and the Blackwater City, Longao had never thought of becoming enemies with the Sword Sect, the Martial Artists Alliance, or the Wanjan School. However, he had to admit that there were always people who were shameless and didn't know what was good for them in this world. In 20 days, the Martial Artists Alliance's competition will officially begin. Brother Long, I'll wait for you at the Martial Artists Alliance. At that time, not only me, but also countless people will fight for Yu Yin. Waving his hand to stop Shapotian, Longao said in a firm voice, I've already said that Yu Yin is mine. Longao wasn't afraid of Shapotian. Although Shapotian was a divine realm warrior, he could enter the dragon seal space at any time. In this way, he wouldn't be afraid even if a divine king were to come personally, let alone Shapotian. It was precisely because of this that Shapotian was very surprised, because if an ordinary person saw him, they wouldn't be so calm at all. Shapotian stood up, said goodbye, and then disappeared. Looking at Shapotian, who had already left, Longao's face instantly became serious. Shapotian had already said that Yu Yin's body was very special. There were countless people who wanted Yu Yin. It seemed that even if he could enter the Martial Artists Alliance, it wouldn't be easy to take Yu Yin away. Other than these suitors, Longao knew that there was another person who wanted to kill him. This person was none other than Yu Yin's master, Hades. Clenching his fists tightly, Longao's heart had never changed. No matter how dangerous the situation in front of him was, he would still give it a try. First it was the Sky Martial Forest, then it was the Martial Artists Alliance. That meant that the only thing he had to do now was to rush to the Sky Martial Forest. Since he had the Alliance token, he could participate in the competition. At that time, as long as he obtained the Alliance token, he would be able to enter the Martial Artists Alliance and see Yu Yin. Chapter 890. Tianwu Continent. In front of a black whirlpool in the forbidden area of the Martial Artists Alliance. Hades was waiting anxiously. It had been a long time since Yu Yin entered the forbidden area. Whether she was alive or dead was still unknown. It turned out that what Shapotian said to Longao was not true. Yu Yin did not come out safely. As for what Shapotian meant, he was probably the only one who knew. The sky was overcast. In the forbidden area of the Martial Artists Alliance, there was no one except for Hades. How is it? As soon as Hades finished speaking, the black whirlpool in front of her started spinning crazily. Traces of black light shot out from the black whirlpool. Seeing this, Hades was pleasantly surprised. In the next second, Wang Yuan's figure walked out of the black vortex. She seemed to have experienced the vicissitudes of life. Looking at her, she gave people the impression that she was a martial artist who had experienced countless years. Yu Yin, you succeeded. Nodding, Yu Yin was pleasantly surprised. She did not expect that she would break through to the Supreme Tao realm and successfully pass the God Tribulation in just a few months after entering the world of darkness. If a titled Great Emperor Warrior wanted to break through to the Supreme Tao realm, they had to pass the God Tribulation first. In other words, at this moment, Yu Yin was already a genuine void god martial artist. One had to admit that Yu Yin's talent and physique were very strong. Otherwise, it would be impossible for her to break through to the Supreme Tao realm in such a short time. Hearing that her disciple had successfully broken through to the Supreme Tao realm, Hades was extremely excited. Yu Yin. Before Hades could speak, Yu Yin said indifferently, "Master, I entered the world of darkness and successfully obtained the inheritance of the world of darkness." The inheritance of the world of darkness? Hearing this, Hades was so scared that she trembled. She knew very well what the inheritance of the world of darkness meant. Yu Yin, this is no small matter. Come with me. Master, you said before that as long as my cultivation can break through the divine path realm, then I can leave the Martial Artists Alliance and look for Longao. Now that my cultivation has reached the divine path realm, can I leave now? Yu Yin didn't care about whether his cultivation base had broken through to the divine Tao realm or not. The only thing he cared about was to leave the Martial Artists Alliance as soon as possible and return to the 9 regions. However, Hades shook his head. Seeing her master shaking her head, Yu Yin asked anxiously, "Master, what's the matter?" Yu Yin, it's not that master doesn't agree, but the situation has changed. Before Hades finished speaking, Yu Yin's expression had changed. After the experience in the world of darkness, Yu Yin now seemed a little cold. Her whole person looked a little different. Even Hades was a little afraid of her disciple's aura. Meeting Shapotian this time, Longao was more or less dignified. Long family matters aside, the 2 most important things for entering the Tianwu continent this time were Yu Yin and Aoshue. Aoshue was in the Phoenix clan. Longao was very clear that it was very difficult for him to find Aoshue. He had no choice but to find Yu Yin first. After all, he already had the opportunity to enter the Martial Artists Alliance. The Tianwu continent was a tripod of 10 sides. As one of the tripod of 10 sides, the Martial Artists Alliance's strength and foundation were there for all to see. 1 clan, 2 alliances, 3 sects, and 4 clans. The Martial Artists Alliance was not the strongest, but it was the most widely distributed. This time, in order to recruit outstanding disciples, the Martial Artists Alliance organized the Alliance Tournament. As long as one was a member of the Martial Artists Alliance, no matter how strong they were, they could participate. The location of the Alliance Tournament was the Tianwu Forest. As the largest spiritual beast forest in the Tianwu continent, it was rumored that there were countless spiritual beasts in the Tianwu Forest. Even divine beasts were not rare. Because of this, normal warriors did not dare to enter the Tianwu Forest. The purpose of the Alliance Tournament organized by the Martial Artists Alliance this time was to find outstanding disciples for the Martial Artists Alliance. Other than having good talent, the most important thing was to be able to withstand hardships and dangers. When Longao arrived at the Tianwu Forest, it was almost time for the Alliance Tournament to start. After finding the person in charge, he handed over the token in his hand and officially registered to participate in the Alliance Tournament. Longao received news that the number of people participating in the Alliance Tournament was around 10,000. After all, the Martial Artists Alliance had countless branches, and each of them wanted to join the real Martial Artists Alliance. And this Alliance Tournament was a chance for everyone to join the Martial Artists Alliance. The rules of the Alliance Tournament were very simple. 10,000 people entered the Tianwu Forest to fight for 100 spots to join the Martial Artists Alliance. In other words, there were over 100 Alliance flags in the Tianwu Forest. One could imagine how terrifying the competition was. No one knew where the 100 Alliance flags were. Therefore, if one wanted to win in the Alliance Tournament, other than strength, luck was also a must. After handing over the token, Longao entered the Tianwu Forest. Stepping into the Qianwu forest, he was very careful and alert. He did not dare to relax at all because no one knew what kind of dangers lay in the Qianwu forest. Sky Demon Wolf, a Holy King spiritual beast. Just as he stepped into the Qianwu forest, Longao encountered a Holy King spiritual beast. Furthermore, it was not just one Sky Demon Wolf, but a group of them. As expected of the Qianwu forest, even the spiritual beasts that casually came out were incomparably powerful. Longao already knew a lot about the Qianwu forest. As the strongest spiritual beast forest in the Qianwu continent, there was no need to be surprised even if you encountered a divine path spiritual beast. It was not strange at all. Longao did not want to fight with these Sky Demon Wolves. He only had one goal in entering the Qianwu forest, and that was to successfully obtain the Alliance flag and join the Martial Artists Alliance. Looking at the Sky Demon Wolf pack, there were at least 100 of them. Longao did not turn around. Instead, he walked back step by step. As long as the opportunity came, he would immediately turn around and leave. However, before Longao could find an opportunity, over 100 Sky Demon Wolves had already moved out. With over 100 Sky Demon Wolves running at the same time, the scene was very spectacular. Longao was like a spinning top. He immediately turned into a tornado and swept up all the Sky Demon Wolves around him. At the same time, he released the aura of heaven and earth. At the same time, the god-punishing sword in his hand also fiercely stabbed out. Emperor Dragon 9 killing blow. At the same time, countless sword chi appeared. The Dragon Flame Sword Chi turned into the most terrifying killing tool, continuously reaping the lives of the Sky Demon Wolves. This time, Longao had another goal in entering the Qianwu forest, and that was to take care of the corpse slave army. After all, last time at the Clear Sky sect, his million corpse slave army had already been wiped out. He wanted to refine a new corpse slave army as soon as possible. Over 100 Sky Demon Wolves were swallowed by the countless sword chi and disappeared without a trace. Chapter 891. The Chi of Heaven and Earth was a powerful force that was above the Chi of gods. 1 against 100. Not only was Longao not afraid, but he was also fighting with ease. Longao was clear that if he were to attack them one by one, it would waste a lot of time. He couldn't wait that long. No matter what, there were only 100 flags in the entire Qianwu forest. Once they were found, his efforts would be in vain. If he wanted to use other methods to enter the Martial Artists Alliance, it wouldn't be so easy. Because of this, Longao chose to attack at the same time. Within the powerful tornado, Longao was killing the Sky Demon Wolves at his fastest speed. In just a few minutes, over 100 Sky Demon Wolves had been killed and disappeared without a trace. Longao had already decided to refine a corpse slave this time. Although a corpse slave wasn't as strong as a soul slave, it could leave the dragon seal space and exist independently. After killing over 100 Sky Demon Wolves, Longao became even more careful. Because there was no telling what kind of powerful spiritual beasts you would encounter in the Qianwu forest. Since you've followed me for so long, why are you being so sneaky? Not bad, you're really not bad. Lu Tianzi walked out with a cold smile. Not only him, but there were also 4 Saint Emperors behind him. Ever since Longao entered the Qianwu forest, Lu Tianzi had already found his traces through his powerful connections. He was just afraid that Longao would suddenly disappear. Until now, Lu Tianzi still didn't know how Black Wolf did it and how he could instantly disappear. Longao wasn't surprised by Lu Tianzi's sudden appearance at all. A Crimson Great Emperor, even in the Martial Artists Alliance, had a very high status. It wouldn't be difficult for him to find him in the Alliance tournament. Lu Tianzi, I'll settle the grudge between us in the future. Right now, I still have things to do, so forgive me for not accompanying you. You want to leave so easily? Do you think you can keep me here? Looking at the confident Black Wolf, Lu Tianzi did not attack immediately. The calmer Black Wolf was, the less confident he was. He had experienced it himself. Black Wolf had disappeared right under his nose. He believed that even the powerful figures of the Martial Artists Alliance could not do it. It was also because of this that Lu Tianxi wanted to capture him alive. He wanted to obtain this divine ability. Gradually, the corners of Lu Tianxi's mouth slowly curled into a cold smile as he coldly said, "Attack." Helplessly shaking his head, Longao wasn't surprised in the slightest. He was confident that he could instantly leave this place. After all, he had the Dragon Seal Space as his trump card. However, what happened next completely shocked Longao. The 4 Saint Emperors behind Lu Tianxi each took out a strangely shaped weapon out of nowhere. The 4 of them combined into one, and the power they shot out formed a terrifying power that directly enveloped Longao. Shocked, Longao knew very well that Lu Tianxi had come prepared. The god-killing sword appeared in his hand. Without any warning, he slashed out. At the same time, the sword chi overlapped. The sword chi of the dragon roar seemed to be able to break through everything in the world as it ruthlessly slashed towards the 4 people's energy shield. According to the power of the god-killing sword and the Emperor Dragon's 9 kills, Longao was very confident that he could split open the energy shield with one slash. No matter what, the god-killing sword had completely refined and integrated with the 9-headed Emperor Dragon. Its power was no longer the same as before. However, the result gave Longao a fright. Because the sword chi of the dragon roar could not break the energy shield at all. Then, Lu Tianxi also moved. "Black Wolf, I'll show you." Before Lu Tianxi could finish speaking, Longao's figure had already disappeared without a trace in the next second. Just what had happened? Looking at the empty space in front of them, Lu Tianxi and the 4 Saint Emperors were dumbfounded. In order to deal with Black Wolf this time, Lu Tianxi had specially borrowed a divine artifact. He originally thought that he could easily deal with the other party, but in the end, he never thought that the other party would still disappear right under his nose. If he had not experienced it personally, he would not have believed it even if he was beaten to death. "Big brother, this kid is not simple. If I'm not wrong, he should have a spatial artifact on him, and it should be a super spatial artifact." Nodding, Lu Tianxi obviously knew what had just happened. He did not believe that Black Wolf had such heaven-defying strength. If that was the case, there was only one explanation, and that was that Black Wolf definitely had a super spatial artifact on him. Lu Tianxi obviously knew what a super spatial artifact meant. Looks like my guess was correct. Black Wolf really does have a spatial artifact on him. Not only was Lu Tianxi not angry at all, he was instead pleasantly surprised. This was because he knew that if he obtained this spatial artifact, not to mention warriors of the same level, he could even kill enemies of a higher level. Not only that, if he had this spatial artifact, even if he encountered a divine realm warrior, he could easily leave. No matter what happens, I have to find this person. Lu Tianxi had absolute confidence that Black Wolf would not leave the Sky Martial Forest. This was because he had already received news that Black Wolf's purpose in going to Blackwater City was to enter the Martial Artists Alliance. The Alliance tournament was the fastest way to enter the Martial Artists Alliance. Lu Tianxi knew that Black Wolf would not give up so easily. Within the Dragon Seal Space. After successfully entering the space, Longao let out a deep sigh of relief. When he discovered that he could not communicate with the Dragon Seal Space, he already knew that Lu Tianxi had come prepared. Just as he was thinking of other ways, he suddenly felt the aura of the Dragon Seal Space. Then, he entered the Dragon Seal Space. "Long Fu, was that you?" "That's right, Master. Just now, those 5 people used a very powerful divine artifact to cut off your aura. However, they would not have thought that I would be able to contact you." Just thinking about it made him scared. Longao could not imagine what would have happened if Long Fu had not been able to communicate with him. "Long Fu, their divine artifact can cut off my aura?" Longao was very surprised. This was because he had never heard of a divine artifact that could cut off a warrior's aura. Nodding his head, Long Fu said, "This divine artifact is very powerful. It combines the power of the 5 elements. Master, your current realm is still very low. If you can break through to the Emperor realm, Then you can use the god-punishing sword to forcefully break through the barrier and leave. Of course, Longao knew what Long Fu meant. The Emperor realm, in the end, was still because his realm was too low. It seemed that the next thing he had to do was to break through to the Emperor realm as quickly as possible. Otherwise, he would be restricted everywhere. P.S. Volume 14, Massacre Emperor, officially opens. This volume will be very hot-blooded. Chapter 892. Long Fu, I want to break through to the Emperor realm. Long Fu wasn't surprised at all. He seemed to have guessed it. Master, this is the best opportunity for you to enter the Sky Martial Forest. I will help you break through to the Great Emperor realm here. Longao didn't say anything. After confirming that Lu Qianxi wasn't around, he left. He knew that even with Long Fu's help, he still had to rely on himself. Otherwise, even if he could forcefully break through, he would be just a paper tiger. One had to know. There were strong and weak martial artists of the same level. Big brother, are you really going to devour the dragon soul? Longao nodded. He had already made up his mind. Long Fu and Longao had discussed before. There were many strong giant dragons in the Sky Martial Forest. If he could devour the giant dragon soul, his cultivation would increase quickly. In the Sky Martial continent, the dragon race wasn't the only race that had giant dragons. Long Chong seemed to be worried. As a member of the dragon race, he knew what a giant dragon soul meant. If he didn't succeed in devouring it, he would be devoured by the giant dragon soul instead. Long Chong, wait. Don't do anything. Big brother, why? I'll explain to you later. Right now, your priority is to merge with the giant dragon soul. Do you understand? Long Chong didn't say anything. Long Ao's meaning was simple. Devouring the giant dragon soul was extremely dangerous. If he wasn't careful, he would be doomed. Long Ao was such a person. He was loyal to his friends. He would go through fire and water for his family. As for his enemies, he would kill them without mercy. The Sky Martial Forest was boundless. There were strong spirit beasts everywhere. Long Ao was curious. Why did he choose the giant dragon soul among all the spirit beasts? Was there something fishy? He didn't want to ask, but the giant dragon soul was dangerous. He didn't want to die for nothing. Before Long Ao could ask, Long Fu had already answered. Master, I know you have questions in your heart. I'll tell you now. Long Fu thought for a moment before continuing. Master, there's something you don't know. You have the blood of an ordinary dragon flowing in your body. Therefore, devouring dragon souls and dragon essences can help you achieve twice the results with half the effort. So that was the case. Until now, Long Ao still could not figure out who had sealed the bloodline in his body and the so-called sacred body of desolation. However, Long Ao didn't dwell on this issue. With his current strength, even if he knew about it, it would only be detrimental. Long Fu, can you sense the presence of the giant dragon? Master, your luck is really too good. There is a holy venerate fire dragon not far from you. Long Fu did not continue, but the meaning of his words was very clear. Since things had already developed to this point, Long Ao naturally wouldn't back down. He rushed in the direction that Long Fu said as fast as he could. Just as Long Fu had said, there was a huge creature not far from him. Its entire body was fiery red, as if it was burning with flames. A holy venerate fire dragon could be said to be strong, but it could also be said to be weak. Long Ao knew very well that he was only a holy emperor right now. There was an entire level between him and a holy venerate. If he was careless, he would be devoured by the fire dragon. Master, you have to be careful. Long Ao nodded. He wanted to end the battle quickly. He did not hesitate at all. With a stride forward, he shot out. Before he arrived, the terrifying sword Qi arrived first. A dragon's roar rang out. 9 dragons' roars layered over each other. The dragon's roar and sword Qi all struck the fire dragon. A furious dragon's roar resounded. The fire dragon had never imagined that someone would dare to sneak attack it. It had to be admitted that the fire dragon's physical defense was very strong. Even with the god-punishing sword and the emperor dragon's 9 fatal strikes, they could not kill the fire dragon in one strike. Longao wanted to end the battle quickly and take advantage of the situation. He knew very well that although he did not kill the fire dragon in one strike, the fire dragon was already injured by his sword chi. Killing the fire dragon now was a rare opportunity. Of course, Longao knew what he had to do to break through to Martial Emperor as quickly as possible. Spatial teleportation. Longao vanished from where he stood. Using spatial teleportation, he instantly appeared behind the fire dragon. Longao was an entire level below the fire dragon. If it were an ordinary person, even if they were of the same level, they would not be a match for the fire dragon, let alone an entire level. However, Longao was different. With his strength and various trump cards, he had a chance of killing the Holy Venerate fire dragon. He ignored the furious dragon's roar. Earth Elemental Art. Longao released the gravity space and ruthlessly suppressed the fire dragon. Destruction Seal. Ever since he cultivated the Destruction Seal, Longao had never used it. According to Long Fu, the Destruction Seal only had one seal. The previous 18 seals were almost the same in terms of power. However, the situation now was different. When the powerful aura suppressed the fire dragon, the god-punishing sword in Longao's hand shot out again. This time, Longao used all his strength. Plop! The fire dragon's huge body fell to the ground. Longao let out a long sigh of relief. He knew very well that luck played a large part in him being able to kill the fire dragon so smoothly. From the beginning to the end, the fire dragon did not react. If they were to fight head-on, it would be very difficult for him to be so successful. No matter what, the fire dragon was dead. He had to strike while the iron was hot and devour the fire dragon's blood and soul. According to what Long Fu had said before, no matter how strong the power was, it had to first enter the dragon seal space and use the blood pool to refine it so that he could absorb it. This way, there would be no mistakes and he would not be devoured by the power. However, Longao did not do that. If he let the blood pool refine the energy, it would be too slow. He really could not wait. In the end, Long Fu thought of a way, and that was to directly devour it. After devouring it, Long Fu would help Longao quickly refine it. If he did this, although it was somewhat dangerous, in terms of speed, it would far surpass the speed at which the blood pool refined the energy. With 2 choices, Longao did not even think about it. He directly chose to devour the energy, forcefully devouring the fire dragon's soul and blood, and other things. However, just as Longao had just devoured and was about to refine them, the situation suddenly changed. As a result, Longao did not know what was going on. At this time, a stone wall suddenly shot out from Longao's dantian. In the blink of an eye, the stone wall had become 10 times larger. It was almost the same size as Longao's body. Looking at the stone tablet in front of him, Longao almost cried out in shock. Primal Chaos Stone Tablet. If it was the 5 elements Primal Chaos Stone Tablet, Longao would not be so shocked. However, he never imagined that the second Primal Chaos Stone Tablet in his dantian would suddenly appear at this time. P.S. The remaining 2 chapters will be updated in the morning. Tomorrow, there will be at least 5 chapters. If I have the energy and time, I will update more. I hope everyone can count the votes. Little 9 thanks. Chapter 893. In this world, there were a total of 12 Chaos Stone Tablets. According to Long Fu, each of the 12 Chaos Stone Tablets represented a different type of power. For example, the 5 Elements Chaos Stone Tablet possessed the power of the 5 elements. From it, he had comprehended the 5 Elements Heaven-Devouring Manual. Ever since he had obtained the second Primal Chaos Stone Tablet, this Primal Chaos Stone Tablet had never appeared before. Since that was the case, at this time, the second Chaos Stone Tablet had suddenly appeared. What was the meaning of this? Longao tried to sense for Long Fu, wanting to ask him what this meant. But at this moment, Longao realized that no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't sense Longfu at all. Seemed like it was the same as the previous time. With the aura of the Chaos Stone Tablet shrouding him, his connection with Longfu had been severed. Longao did not move at all. Even if he moved, it would be pointless. After all, the power of the Chaos Stone Tablet was there for all to see. At this moment, Longao did not know what the Chaos Stone Tablet was trying to do. Phew! 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 The Chaos Stone Tablet began to spin. In the middle of the tablet, a gigantic black vortex appeared. It spun furiously as though it could devour everything. Black vortex. Longao stared at the black vortex on the primal Chaos Stone Tablet. He didn't know why, but when he looked at the black vortex, he felt as if he was connected to it by blood. Heaven Devouring Manual? The words Heaven Devouring Manual appeared in his mind. Instantly, Longao's face was filled with joy. He knew what this martial skill that had appeared in his mind was. There were 12 Chaos Stone Tablets in this world. Within each of them was a martial skill and skill. He did not need the skill, but he did need the martial skills. Heaven Devouring Chaos Stone Tablet. Longao had not expected his luck to be this good. Not only did he comprehend the martial skills within the 5 elements Chaos Stone Tablet, he even sensed the martial skills of the Heaven Devouring Chaos Stone Tablet. After a full hour, the Chaos Stone Tablet disappeared and returned to Longao's dantian. By the time Longao sensed that he could move again, he realized that the fire dragon he had just devoured had been completely refined and fused together. Saint. Sensing his own realm, Longao was a little dumbfounded. When had he broken through? After thinking about it, Longao finally understood. The reason why he could completely refine the fire dragon's essence blood and bloodline and break through from Saint King to Saint Exalt was because of the Chaos Tablet. In the Dragon Seal space. Longfu, what happened just now? Why would the Devour Primal Chaos Tablet appear out of nowhere? Under normal circumstances, he should be happy that his cultivation had broken through to the Holy Venerate realm. But now, Longao didn't feel the slightest bit of joy, because there were 2 primal Chaos Stone Tablets in his dantian. They were like 2 bombs, and he didn't know when they would explode. Master, I don't know why the Chaos Stone Tablet suddenly appeared, but I just sensed it. If I'm not mistaken, the Chaos Stone Tablet suddenly appeared because you forcefully swallowed the fire dragon. Nodding his head, Longfu also guessed that this was the reason, but he didn't know if his luck was good or bad. Master, no matter what, it's a good thing that you've comprehended the Devouring Heaven's skill from the Chaos Stone Tablet. It's really unbelievable that there's someone in this world who can comprehend 2 Chaos Stone Tablets at the same time. Master, you're definitely unprecedented. If what Longfu said was true, then this was definitely a good thing. Longao smiled as well. Just as Longfu had said, there were only 12 Chaos Stone Tablets in the world. Most people would not be able to comprehend 2 Chaos Stone Tablets at the same time. Even comprehending one of the Chaos Stone Tablets was an impossible task. Longao didn't continue thinking about this matter. His cultivation had already broken through to the Holy Venerate realm. Next, he had to think of ways to continue increasing his cultivation level. If he wanted to reach the Great Emperor realm, he had to break through to the peak of the Saint Emperor realm. In the 8 realms of the illusionary divine stage, from lowest to highest, they were half-sage martial artist, sage martial artist, earth sage martial artist, heaven sage martial artist, sage king martial artist, sage emperor martial artist, sage venerable martial artist and saint emperor martial artist. Longao was now a sage venerable martial artist. He was only 1 step away from the peak of the illusionary divine stage. Longfu didn't have to say much. If he wanted to continue breaking through, there was only one way, and it was also the fastest way. That was to continuously devour the spirit and blood essence of spiritual beasts. Amongst them, the spirit and blood essence of the dragon were the most important. Master, from now on, we can split up into 2 groups. What do you mean? Master, if you forcefully devour the spirit and blood essence of the spiritual beasts, I will also help you refine them. Master, you must quickly cultivate the Devouring Heaven's skill. As long as you succeed, no matter what energy you devour in the future, there won't be any backlash. Longao never thought that the devouring heavens skill would be so powerful. After settling the fire dragon, Longao continued to look for his next target. Although there were many dragons in Sky Marshal Forest, Long Fu could sense that more than 95% of the dragons were too powerful. Forcefully devouring them? That was simply courting death. This time, just as Longao was looking for suitable spiritual beasts, he saw Lu Tianxi and the other four from afar. Enemies were bound to meet on a narrow road. Although the breakthrough in his cultivation was still insufficient for him to fight Lu Tianxi and the rest head-on, Longao knew that if he did not do anything, he would be letting himself down. However, Longao did not act rashly. He had already thought about it. If he wanted to deal with Lu Tianxi and the other four, he could only use his wits and not brute force. Otherwise, he might not even be able to kill them. Longao was wary of the divine weapon in Lu Tianxi's hands. Just the fact that it could forcefully cut off his aura was enough to show how powerful the divine weapon in Lu Tianxi's hands was. What should he do? Longao carefully followed Lu Tianxi's group of 5. Moreover, he constantly scanned the surroundings to see where the alliance flag was. This time, other than cultivating and breaking through as soon as possible, the most important thing for him to enter the Sky Marshal Forest was to find the alliance flag. Master, there is a Crimson Great Emperor level spiritual beast in your southeast direction. Crimson Great Emperor level spiritual beast. Of course, Longao knew what Long Fu meant. After all, with his strength, he was no match for a Crimson Great Emperor level spiritual beast. In other words, Long Fu told him this so that he could use this powerful spiritual beast to deal with Lu Tianxi and the other four. Longao was overjoyed. He had always been ruthless when dealing with his enemies. He knew that if Lu Tianxi was not eliminated, he would always be in danger. However, he was about to enter the Martial Artists Alliance. If Lu Tianxi came looking for trouble, wouldn't he be in endless trouble? P.S. I can't stand it. I'll make up the last chapter tomorrow morning. 6 chapters tomorrow. Time to sleep. It's almost 1:30. Chapter 894. Big Brother, there's movement. Everyone, be careful. Lu Tianxi was especially careful after entering the Tianwu forest. Although he was a Crimson Grade Great Emperor and had 4 Saint Emperors following him, a Crimson Grade Great Emperor was nothing compared to the dangers in the Tianwu forest. With Lu Tianxi's status and strength, it wouldn't be difficult for him to enter the Martial Artists Alliance. However, he didn't enter for so many years. Instead, he stayed at the top of the branch. He only had one goal in entering the Tianwu forest, and that was to kill Black Wolf. Other than taking revenge for his 2 nephews, he also wanted to capture him alive and obtain the spatial divine item. Black Wolf. At this moment, a figure flashed in front of the 5 of them and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Even so, Lu Tianxi could clearly see that the figure that had just flashed by was the Black Wolf they were looking for. Big Brother, be careful. Lu Tianxi waved his hand. From the beginning, Lu Tianxi didn't put Longao in his eyes. In his opinion, other than the spatial divine item, Longao's strength was nothing. I want him alive. The 4 Saint Emperors were a little worried, but when they thought about how they were all-powerful martial artists, including their big brother, a mere Saint Emperor couldn't play any tricks. The 5 of them immediately shot out, but Longao's speed was too fast. Even if the 5 of them used all their strength, they couldn't catch up to him. They were shocked. They didn't expect Lin Fan to be so fast. This kid has a lot of secrets. If we can capture him alive, Lu Tianxi wasn't worried at all. Instead, he was excited. Not long after, both parties arrived at a dense forest. There were towering trees everywhere, covering the sky and blocking out the sun. Even the sunlight couldn't shine in. Crimson Grade Spiritual Beast, 9-headed snake. Longao was also very surprised, because he also did not expect that the spiritual beast that Long Fu sensed would actually be a hydra. 9-headed snakes were a branch of the dragon clan. They had the bloodline of the giant dragon. Once they successfully evolved, they could become a real giant dragon, or even a 9-headed emperor dragon. It was still unknown who would win if the crimson-grade nine-headed snake fought against the crimson-grade Great Emperor Lu Tianxi. The five of them instantly caught up. Looking at the black mass around them, the expressions of the five people were somewhat unsightly. Because even with their speed, they were actually unable to catch up to the other party. If this matter were to be leaked out, where would their face go? Big brother, Black Wolf is gone. Lu Tianxi nodded. Of course, he knew that Black Wolf was missing. If it were anywhere else, he might be able to find him. However, things were a little troublesome here. Don't scatter. Stay together. For some reason, Lu Tianxi felt that something was amiss. Black Wolf clearly knew that Lu Tianxi wanted to harm him, so why would he still appear? In the distance. Longao looked coldly at the five people in the distance. Just now, he had already fought with the Hydra. In the end, he had used the aura of the nine-headed Imperial Dragon in the Godslayer sword to forcefully suppress the Hydra. Longao knew very well that if it were any other Crimson Great Emperor spirit beast, he wouldn't be able to defeat it even if he used the God-slaying sword. However, the nine-headed snake situation was completely different. You could say that. The nine-headed Imperial Dragon was the ancestor of the Hydra. Even with its aura, the Hydra wouldn't dare to resist. Longao didn't kill the Hydra, nor did he devour it. This was because he wanted to use the Hydra to deal with Lu Tianxi. Therefore, he had reached an agreement with the Hydra. The Hydra would help him deal with Lu Tianxi. Kai, just as the five of them were searching for Longao, they suddenly heard a hissing sound. Their hearts skipped a beat. Then, a nine-headed python appeared. Emperor-level spirit beast, nine-headed snake. Lu Tianxi exclaimed. He wasn't a fool. Of course, he understood the Black Wolf's intention. He had lured him here to use the Hydra to deal with him. Sneering, Lu Tianxi and the other four chose to take the initiative. Before the Hydra could make a move, they had already surrounded it and used the divine weapon they had just used. One had to admit that the divine weapon Lu Tianxi borrowed was very powerful. 5 against 1, they had locked the Hydra in the center. Attack! Lu Tianxi roared. Then, the 5 of them launched their most ferocious attacks, one after another. Not far away, Longao watched the battle between the two sides with a solemn expression. According to the situation of the battle, it would be very difficult for the Hydra to kill Lu Tianxi. Was he going to let Lu Tianxi go just like that? If he didn't remove the roots, the grass would grow again. Longao knew very well how big of a threat Lu Tianxi was to him. Perhaps it wasn't now, but once he entered the Martial Artists Alliance, Lu Tianxi would definitely affect him. For himself, and for Yu Yin, Lu Tianxi must die. It was impossible to kill Lu Tianxi with just the Hydra. It seemed that he had to make a move. Watching the battle, Longao gradually understood that Lu Tianxi could suppress the Hydra. It didn't mean that Lu Tianxi was stronger than the Hydra. After all, both of them were Crimson Great Emperors. Divine weapon. Lu Tianxi was using the divine weapon to fight 5 against 1. Thinking of this, Longao didn't hesitate any longer and attacked. No matter what happened, he had to take care of Lu Tianxi. He couldn't let Lu Tianxi leave Sky Martial Forest alive and cause trouble for himself in the future. Using spatial teleportation, Longao's body disappeared from where he stood. When he appeared again, he was already standing behind Lu Tianxi. Raising his eyebrows, Longao stabbed out with the god-slaying sword in his hand. A dragon's roar sounded. 9 dragons' roars overlapped and formed a terrifying sword chi. It was the so-called dragon roar sword chi. Lu Tianxi didn't expect Black Wolf to launch a sneak attack at this time. Due to his carelessness, he was injured by the sword chi. However, a great emperor was still a great emperor. Lu Tianxi managed to dodge the sword chi in the end, but he was also shocked. Black Wolf, you're courting death. His voice was extremely cold. His face was covered in sweat. His arm was injured by the sword chi just now, and it was bleeding. Now that things had reached this stage, it was either you die or I die. Longao didn't waste any words. He spun like a top and the god-slaying sword in his hand struck out again. This time, Longao's target wasn't Lu Tianxi, but the other four. He knew that as long as he killed the four, it would be like breaking Lu Tianxi's left and right arms. At that time, Lu Tianxi wouldn't be able to easily suppress the Hydra without the help of the divine weapon. The four Saint Emperors didn't put Black Wolf in their eyes at all. They used the divine weapon to lock onto the Hydra as they attacked Black Wolf. P.S. Yesterday's 10th chapter has been delivered. Today's 5th chapter will be delivered one after another. Little 9 will try to be faster. Chapter 895. If it was the Longao from before, he might not have been able to take on 4 Saint Emperors by himself. But now, Longao's situation was completely different. After successfully devouring the Fire Dragon's soul, Longao successfully broke through from Saint King to Saint Ruler. Although he had not reached Saint Emperor, Longao's strength was more than enough to fight Saint Emperors. The 4 Saint Emperor clones all used their killer moves against Longao. In the blink of an eye, Longao and the 4 people were already engaged in a fierce battle. Emperor Dragon's 9 fatal slashes, Longao's god-punishing sword, each strike faster than the last. Emperor Dragon Fury Wave, Emperor Dragon Burial, Emperor Dragon Strangulation, Emperor Dragon Tyranny, Emperor Dragon Collapse, Emperor Dragon Explosion, Emperor Dragon Heart Devour, Emperor Dragon Breaking the Heavens. As fast as lightning, dragon roars continuously rose and fell, transforming into dragon roars and sword chi. The 4 of them were shocked. They never thought that Black Wolf would make another breakthrough in his cultivation in such a short period of time. Such a cultivation speed seemed to be somewhat inconceivable. Black Wolf, I'd like to see how you're going to escape from my grasp today. Lu Tianxi laughed maniacally, confidence written all over his face. With a god artifact in hand and the assistance of 4 Saint Emperors, even an Emperor-level Hydra was nothing in his eyes. Hydra was completely suppressed, and Lu Tianxi's main target was still Hydra. Lu Tianxi wasn't a fool. Of course, he knew that the Hydra was a bigger threat than the Black Wolf. Longao was also a little anxious. He had thought that he could kill Lu Tianxi and the other 4 with the help of the Hydra, but the result was the opposite. Man proposes, God disposes. Take a gamble. In the end, Longao chose to fight to the death because the longer the battle dragged on, the more disadvantageous it would be for him. Once Hydra was killed by Lu Tianxi, he would not have the slightest benefit. As the god-punishing sword slashed out, Longao used teleportation to disappear from the spot. The 4 of them were already used to Black Wolf's sudden disappearance. In any case, the other party's strength was there for all to see. So what if he disappeared? Just as the 4 of them were doing their best to help Lu Tianxi deal with Hydra, Longao's figure appeared in the east. Soul Array Attack. Under normal circumstances, Longao wouldn't use Soul Array attacks. After all, once a Soul Array attack backfired, the consequences would be unimaginable. The 4 Saint Emperors were an entire level lower than Longao, but in terms of the strength of their souls, Longao still had the upper hand. After all, Longao had been absorbing soul force the entire time. The strength of his soul was not something the 4 Saint Emperors could compare to. The might of soul attacks combined with the formation had more than doubled. Longao immediately rejoiced when he heard the miserable shrieks. He did not hesitate at all and continued to use soul attacks. Miserable shrieks rose and fell. Before Lu Tianxi could figure out what was going on, the 4 Saint Emperors had already fallen to the ground one after another. If it was a normal battle, even if Longao could use soul array attacks to kill Saint Emperors, it was basically impossible for him to kill 4 Saint Emperors at the same time. But now, the 4 of them did not focus on Longao at all. They focused on dealing with Hydra. The 4 Saint Emperors were just as Lu Tianxi had imagined. Compared to the 9-headed snake, the 9-headed wolf posed a greater threat. They had gone for wool and come home shorn. The 4 of them had never thought that they would be killed by Hydra just like that. They did not even know what had happened. What a joke. After killing the 4 Saint Emperors, Longao did not stop at all. With spatial teleportation, he disappeared from where he was. Attacking Lu Tianxi, Longao did not use soul array attacks. Longao was well aware of his own strength and soul. As a Crimson Grade Great Emperor martial artist, Lu Tianxi was superior to him in both strength and soul. So, unless it was a last resort, Longao would not casually use the soul array to attack. Once he suffered a backlash, he was afraid that he would fall into eternal damnation. As soon as Longao's figure appeared, the god-slaying sword in his hand had already slashed out. Longao used all the strength in his body for this slash. All of it was gathered into the god-slaying sword. It could be said that, ever since he had cultivated the Emperor Dragon's 9 fatal slashes, the god-slaying sword had devoured the 9-headed Emperor Dragon. This was the strongest slash Longao had ever used. The surrounding space seemed to tremble. Not only that, Longao had not only used his strongest slash but also the dragon seal in order to kill in one hit. That's right, it was the dragon seal. For a long time, Longao had rarely used the dragon seal. Although the dragon seal was heavily injured and had yet to recover, the toughness of the dragon seal was incomparable. Once Lu Tianxi was hit by the dragon seal, he would be heavily injured even if he did not die. One man, one sword, one seal. If it was a one-on-one fight, Longao might not be Lu Tianxi's opponent even if he used the god-slaying sword and the dragon seal. But the situation was different now. Lu Tianxi not only had to deal with Longao, but also the 9-headed snake. As the saying goes, 2 fists cannot fight 4 hands. Just think about it, Lu Tianxi was under a lot of pressure. Because of this, Lu Tianxi began to have thoughts of retreating. He knew that without the help of the 4 Saint Emperors, it would be difficult for him to kill the Black Wolf in front of the 9-headed snake. Even until now, he did not know why the 9-headed snake would help the Black Wolf. If Lu Tianxi wanted to leave, would Longao agree? Would the 9-headed snake agree? Sword Qi swept out. As Lu Tianxi constantly dodged the sword Qi, he also had to endure the dual attacks of Longao and the 9-headed snake. If he was even slightly careless, he would be directly killed. Lu Tianxi! Longao suddenly roared. Lu Tianxi, who was focused on fighting, jumped in fright when he heard the roar. It was precisely because he was shocked that Longao seized the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The dragon seal in his hand fiercely smashed out, smashing precisely on Lu Tianxi's left arm. With a crack, Lu Tianxi roared in pain. Enduring the pain from his arm, Lu Tianxi struck back with a palm, fiercely dodging the 9-headed snake and Longao. Under these circumstances, Lu Tianxi did not continue to stay. He was already heavily injured. If he continued to fight, he would definitely die. As the saying goes, a wise man does not fight when the odds are against him. It is never too late for revenge. But just as Lu Tianxi turned around, 2 needles suddenly shot out from his hand, shooting toward Longao and the 9-headed snake. The 2 needles were just too fast. Longao used spatial teleportation to dodge them, but the 9-headed snake was not so lucky and was struck by the needles. By the time Longao appeared, Lu Tianxi had already left. As for the 9-headed snake, he had collapsed on the ground, his entire body turning black. He had clearly been poisoned. Longao was very solemn. At his level of cultivation, normal poisons would not be effective. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.